will you be... The Astrolabe.
Time to end this suffering. I need a minute to myself. So I drift away. You will never get to me. What can't be done, I'll do myself. So
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
I'm gonna come.
Salute.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him. The N-word.
I'm gonna come.
Salute.
Good morning, bastards!
We just hired that sound on the soundboard and we might have to let it go already. The Visa mills have been nuked from orbit. You guys tired of winning yet? Is it possible? Is it possible to get tired of winning? Not a chance. Not a chance. Not in Donald Trump's America. What's going on, everybody? Love you, mama. Have a good sleep. Oh, wow. That was a pre-show. Man, if you guys are just listening to the recording afterwards and you don't get the EWBSX pre-show, man, oh, you are missing out. Nothing but bangers tonight. Man, what a time. You got to make sure you download the EWBSX app so you can get all the white pill bangers pumped into your wee little ear holes any time of day, 24/7, 365. Download the EWBSX app. It's free on the iOS and Android stores. Got to make sure you do it. You got to do it. All right, so we are going to have a. I've got quite a few tabs to get through today, and we gotta push through this thing quick. We're gonna be jamming on our way through this one because I'm hoping I can get this wrapped up. Let's see, it's 9:41 my time. I'd love to be able to do this in less than 2 hours. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I've got to get into the King Pill Discord tonight for a voice chat. I don't have anything. I don't have a schizo stream subject planned, but we will go hang out in the voice chat, and maybe something will come up. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll just hang out and talk, have a grand old time. Always, some of the greatest conversations I've ever been a part of have happened in the King Pilled voice chat. Thank you, Austin Trees. Yes, I did hit record. I actually changed the source title here. Instead of just start, I changed it to hit record and start. That way I will never forget again, because good grief. It makes the whole uploading the show afterwards thing take way longer when I forget to hit record. When I do record, it's great, because the file is there ready to go as soon as I'm done, and I can just upload it immediately. But don't touch any settings. Hands are off. Got my hands up here. I remember when I was it in college or high school? Might have been both. That someone would just yell hand check, like in class or on the bus or something like that. Hand check. Everyone have to get your hands up, and if you didn't, that meant you were doing untoward things. You were jorking it. Hands up. Whoop. My hands are up. But so if you want to join us for the voice chat tonight, it'll be a grand old time as it usually is. I will be busting out the beers then. I thought about maybe getting beers going here during the show, but I only have 2 left. I want to drink those 2, and I want to get a nice comfortable little buzz. And if I do it during the show, then I will not. It'll be worn off by the time I get to the voice chat. So I'll be busting out the beers once we get to the voice chat. So if you would like to join us for that, kingpilled.com. Go sign up. All membership tiers will get access to the voice chat. So sign up wherever, however you would like. Shout out to Aspiring Midwit, who has resubscribed on Kick. Thank you, my friend. And Dave.
Back, baby.
There we go.
The white man is back.
Please tell me there are plans in the near future for you to go on a bigger channel and tell Teseretas very politely but firmly to stop being black pilling fagots.
Thank you, Ruthuglican. No, there are not currently any plans for that. I gotta be invited, and I haven't gotten any invites. But I do have some plans for once things are a little settled down. I have some plans for getting some doing some interviews, getting some people on my show and talking to them. I just got to figure out a way to do that. Blavot says, my Discord profile is connected to my true identity. Is there any way to join just the King Pilled server anonymously? I think the only way you would be able to do that is either you'd either have to remove your identity from the Discord, from your Discord profile somehow, or create a new one. That's the only thing that I would know. I don't know exactly what you mean if with it being connected to your true identity. If you could change your I don't know, your screen name, your picture. I don't know if that does it, but yeah, it's, as far as I know, it's just a Discord server, and you just sign up with whatever your profile is. I don't know if there's a way to do it anonymously. I gave up on anonymity for myself a long time ago. But I do understand the people who want to maintain the OPSEC. I respect that. I appreciate that. Also,
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Imagine the taste of Schoenherz Neotret home cooking.
Austin, it's been 24 hours. I think he needs some extra bonks. Austin is still horn posting in the chat and in the tips. So someone bonk Austin for me. Shoe on heads, neo trad home cooking. I wonder if she can cook. Hold on. Damn it. My footrest is misbehaving down here. There we go. Straight Buster, no, you are not late. I mean, you missed a great pre-show, but no, you're here just in time. I've been trying to say a big shout out to Dave Johnson, who has gifted 5 new subs. Let's see, we've got Ski the Builder, we got Pilgrims Transgress, we've got Hot Plastic Frog, we've got J. Todd Hughes, and we've got Georgie P. I think I only recognize one of those names. So if any of the others of you are watching live, do me a favor and leave a chat in the live chat, because we're trying to boost the engagement on the channel. I got to get to 250 chatters. Doing great on the kick revenue this month. Looks like it's going to be an all-time high. Thank you to you guys for that. We are at 189, and I need 250 unique chatters in the last 30 days. So if you're lurking, if you have not chatted in the last 30 days, then do me a favor and engage. And then we're at 63.73 average viewers over the past 30 days. So got to get up to 75. We're edging our way up. We are here to edge, and we're getting close. I think this is an all-time high thus far. I don't really understand how exactly they calculate that, because I spent a long time well over 75 average viewers, then kind of tailed off while we were moving and everything. But I spent quite a bit of time over that, and it didn't really seem to be moving very much. But it is moving better now. So that's good. Appreciate you guys showing up for the live show. And let's see what else we got here. Roy's Redemption has followed the channel. Appreciate you, man. I recognize that name. That is a powerful mutual on X.com. And then See You in the Camp. Barndon M and Jordan Gibb have all resubscribed for the 4th month. So thank you to you guys. Appreciate all of you. Subscribing on Kick is much better than a membership on YouTube, because YouTube takes at least 30%, and Kick only takes 5%. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm just going to say tip link. Get this pinned in the chat here. tips.kingpilled.com. Please remember to tip your streamer. Effectively my only real streams of revenue are or of income are from doing the show here. So appreciate all of you guys supporting the channel, supporting the stream, supporting me, keeping my family fed. Got an update on my wife. She had the surgery this morning for her for the basal cell carcinoma on her nose, and it went well. She has a big white bandage on her face now, and one behind her ear, because they had to take a skin graft from back here. So she's got some pain. It's pretty uncomfortable. It's kind of over her nose, so she doesn't really, if she needs to wipe her nose, she kind of can't. She said earlier she needed to pop her ears, but she couldn't pinch her nose. She tried doing it and regretted it immediately. Only white bandages. We are a white bandage only household. So thank you guys for your prayers for Mrs. Kingpilled. It was not a cheap surgery. So, I guess as surgeries go, it was maybe kind of cheap, but it was not cheap in the absolute sense. So, so if that induces you to contribute to support the show, please do. We need the money. Got to get a new truck purchased here.
Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. Your leftist ass like corn on the cob.
Shalom.
Shalom, Chuck Fuckelstein. Thank you. Patriot with the $50 tip. That feels good, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. And shalom to you too. Mazel tov. No, I do not have a day job. It's EWBSX, and it is this. Those are the things that I do to make money. So I'm fully supported. I'm like NPR. I'm fully supported by viewers like you. Except I actually am fully supported by viewers like you. Got to get a new truck. Yesterday we finally sold the old one. That was a sad moment. It was nice. It was nice to get that I've been needing to get it done for a while, and it was nice to finally be able to check that off the to-do list. But I was thinking about it, and that's the longest I've ever had one vehicle. We leased it in May of 2021, so about 4.5 years. Longest I've ever had a vehicle, and yeah, Jeremy the Laramie. It was a beautiful, beautiful truck, just wonderful. Ram 1500 Laramie, Night Edition, red, power running boards, leather, ventilated seats, navigation that we never used. Loved that truck. Absolutely loved that truck. It went so many places with us, so many good memories. Only vehicle Eastwood has ever known. So he, when the time arrived, I had to leave to go drive over to the bank to meet the guy, and Eastwood melted down, crying, "No, you can't sell the truck. You're a bad daddy. Don't do that. Don't sell our truck." And I said, "We're going to get a new one." And he said, "Is it going to be a red Ram?" And I said, "No." I said, "It's not going to be a Ram." And he says, "Well, is it going to be red?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm probably not going to have much control over that." And I told him it was going to be electric because we're going to get a Ford Lightning. I told him it was going to be electric, and that kind of calmed him down a little bit. He asked me how it worked, and little engineer brain, I got to kind of explain how it works. It doesn't use gas, it uses electricity, and he thought that was very interesting. But yeah, I would love to get the Hummer EV. That would be a very nice one. I've heard really good things about them, but that is a little bit out of the price range. Those are pricey. And also, I have learned that any GM, if you lease anything through GM, through their captive lender, you cannot transfer the lease. You cannot transfer the lease outside the state. You got to keep them in the state. They're one of the few financing companies that does that. So yeah, that pushed me away from a GM vehicle. But yeah, so we got to get the new one purchased here before we get out to, or leased before we get out to Washington. So we actually have something to drive when we get back. So that was a big ordeal yesterday. Finally got it done. Made a little bit of money on it. I definitely did not expect to. So here's the thing: people will tell you don't lease if you drive a lot of miles. Like if you're going to go over the mileage limit. Our mileage limit on it was 42,000 miles. It was a 42-month, 42,000 mile lease.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
That was in reference to the naughty Nick Fuentes clip from you earlier. Chocolate, Schokoladenriegel, lächelndes Katzengesicht, P-Raute Dollar und.
Those of you who follow me on Twitter, you will, or if you're in the King Bill Discord, you know what he's talking about. Nick Fuentes is beefing with his chat. Yeah, so 42 months, 42,000 miles. We sold it with 76,000 miles on it and wound up making probably about $1,100 on it. So anybody who tells you not to lease, and if you drive a lot of miles, you might go over your miles, they don't know what they're talking about. There are certain vehicles, like, it depends, but it's not an absolute rule. You can go over your miles, and as long as you're not just handing the keys back to them, then being over on the mileage doesn't matter. It's no different than financing. If you finance and you have high miles, then it's going to knock down your valuation if you're trying to trade it in or something like that. I could rant about leasing for a long time. Cheeky says, if you have a 100K plus electric truck, you're a giant libtard tool. Well, fortunately for you, I will not have a 100K plus electric truck. I will have a 70K plus electric truck. The leases on them are insane. A lease for a Ford Lightning right now is if you've got tier 1 credit and you know how to negotiate a lease, you can get them for sub $300 a month. For like 10,000 for like a 24 or 36 month term, 10,500 miles, something like that. They're ridiculous, just absolutely absurdly cheap. And so I'm more than happy to take advantage of that, and it fits our driving habits very much. So, Lord Miles. Yeah, I saw the thing about Lord Miles. I really don't think that's true. My guess is that it is fake. That he's doing a bit. But I guess we'll find out. Yes, I have heard Tom's rants about electric vehicles, and that's nice. That's nice. I've I know my vehicles. I have done my research very well, and I've been very tapped into the automotive community for a very long time. So I know electric vehicles aren't for some people, but I am more than happy to drive one in our current state. Current state of our life, our driving habits. It'll be just absurdly cheaper than anything else. Thank you, Elias Shu. Appreciate you chatting. And yeah, you were gifted a membership. I don't remember who it was that gifted it to you, but shout out to whoever that was. And then Navy Kip is celebrating his subscription for 4 months. Says, just got home from a night golfing with the sun. Great day. Check the replay later. Take care, y'all. What a day. Golfing with the sun. That's going to be, we'll be starting out with Eastwood here before too long. Florida Girl says, is that the only electric vehicle with cheap leases? No, there are quite a few that have cheap leases, at least for the time being. It'll be interesting to see what happens after September 30th, because September 30th is when the EV tax credits, the federal EV tax credits expire. And I know everyone's expecting that all of a sudden that the electric vehicles are going to get really expensive. And my guess is that what is going to happen is suddenly there's going to be a bunch of new incentives that appear. Some new rebates and stuff that make it more or less the same. They might get a little bit more expensive, but more or less the same. So yeah, anyways. All right, let's get this party started. Got a whole bunch of stuff today, and we're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. So, to start off with, we got to laugh a little bit. We got a patriot. We got a patriot out in the wild. Trolling the libs. We love to troll the libs, don't we, boys? Making the libs mad. Libs are so mad these days.
MAGA hat. Yeah, Trump. Woo!
Is this gay?
Oh, I know.
Just checking.
Trump fan.
Never know.
Trump?
No. It says make America gay again.
Great. Again.
Gay.
I know, but we love Trump, right?
Doing the Lord's work. See, this is how it's got to be. You don't go out and get all hostile and angry with them. Just troll them. Just be all happy and positive and upbeat, and just troll them. Just make them mad. They'll make them seethe. Melon says, my mom had a great take on golf with my grandpa. Why should I golf? It's not fun. It's an excuse to spend time with your grandpa. And so it was. Yes, indeed. And also, it's fun. Golfing is so much fun. Even if you're not good at it, as long as you don't take it seriously. Even if you're not good at it, being out there on the links, drinking a beer, just enjoying the sunshine, the breeze, nice, beautifully manicured grass, and hanging out for 4 hours or so. No better pastime. Speaking of the sports ball, the Buffalo Bills. Here's it's the Bills. The Bills of all the NFL teams would be the most likely to do something like this, but they weren't the only one. The Bills just had a beautiful tribute for Charlie Kirk before the game against the Dolphins. They even played a 20 to 30 second video showing Charlie with his family. This would have just been completely unthinkable. If you would have told me a year ago that there would be major sporting organizations that were doing tributes, public tributes to a prominent conservative influencer, I would have said no, not a chance. The vibe's going to shift, but it's not going to shift that fast. It's not going to be that hard. Nope, it definitely was. Definitely was. Seamus over at Freedom Tunes has published his weekly video. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And I'm always going to have a little bit of a special spot in my heart for Seamus, because when it happened, as we were waiting for confirmation and information, I was listening to him live with Orrin McIntyre. They were kind of talking their way through it. He was praying the rosary over and over again, and waiting to find out what was going to happen, waiting to get news. And so his voice is always going to be associated with that for me. This is his weekly video.
I don't feel like laughing this week, and I don't think you do either. He was a father, and that's the part that kills us the most. Because father seems like an increasingly rare title these days. Where are our fathers, our leaders? Who protects our families? Are we going to get justice or words? Will there be discipline or dereliction? His children were left to fend for themselves. Now we find out if our nation is. Will networks of radicals be allowed to keep killing us while they pass laws making it harder for us to defend ourselves? Will we be thrown in prison for protecting ourselves when a robber breaks in? A never-ending duty to retreat in our own home? Because it seems as if every father has been forced to retreat from everything. God the Father removed from our schools. Earthly fathers removed from their homes. Divorces, wars, murder in the streets. Will God stop being a father to this nation because we've rejected fatherhood itself? Will we continue the retreat? Or will we turn around? Back into our homes, back into our children's lives, back into our positions as heads of households, unafraid to take power and exercise authority, political and familial, because our families need us. The political solutions are obvious and necessary. We can't accept anything less. But the personal solutions are equally uncompromising and far more difficult. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Speak the truth and never compromise on it. Be the kind of person whose death is celebrated by demons, by doing small things with great love. Because the turning point is here. 9/10 will be remembered as the day that our country reversed course. Or the day that America realized it didn't have a father.
What a tribute. Giving me the goosebumps. The chicken skin. I was thinking earlier today. I got to try to minimize my commentary a little bit tonight because I got to get through all the content. But I wanted to say something on this. Mr. Sue says, so the deal was Seamus RT's your tweet and you play his video on the lab. Yes, you're right. Caught that Seamus retweet earlier today. He talks about how there's like the political and then there's the personal or the social. And making the advances in the social, in the political, is important, but it's not as important as what we do in our personal lives, socially, interpersonally, in the you might say in the private sector. Even though the public-private distinction is fake and gay, I'll still kind of use it. You guys understand what I'm saying. And I think this is part of why the no blackpilling message is so important. Because I was sitting here thinking about this as we were going through the pre-show and the vibes were high. Everyone's jamming out and super happy and we're all having a grand old time. And at the same time, I'm getting notifications from this tweet that I tweeted earlier about the H-1B thing that is gone stratospheric. Stratospheric for me, at least. And I'm getting the tweets from the people who are like, oh, it's not going to be good enough. Here's all the ways they're going to get around it. You got fooled again. All that sort of thing. And I'm just like, I would rather have more H-1B people. I'd rather deal with the H-1B people who are scamming the system than with these demoralized faggots that just have to counter signal and doom out and cry about every single thing. This is why the no blackpilling thing is so important. Because if you're holding yourself in that posture and you're just spewing that vomit all over everyone else constantly all the time, you are just a massive net negative to your own community, your own family, your own social circles. It doesn't matter if you have all the right ideas of the right policies or whatever. It doesn't matter how based you are. And ultimately, that's not a problem that's going to be solved by anything political. As we've seen, it doesn't matter what sort of political wins we get. There's this certain psychological profile that just insists that nothing is ever enough. And not even that nothing is ever enough, because we're not even saying, oh, this is enough. Okay, great, fine. Dust our hands off, recline, war's won. That's retarded. Of course nobody thinks that. But you've got to recognize a win when you get a win. You got to recognize the sheer volume of wins and the trajectory of wins. You got to see which direction we're heading. Slutty Milk says, tomorrow marks 8 months into the term. A mere 8 months. And so much has changed already. I think this might be an autism thing where it's like people who can't read the vibe. They don't pick up on the momentum. There's a thing in sports. People always debate. You have like the analytics guys who are like, no, you just look at the numbers and momentum is fake. You can't break momentum down into a statistic, so it's fake. But every single person who has ever played sports or been a part of any sort of professional organization like that knows that momentum is real. They know that there's this intangible sense, this motivation, the positive vibe, and the positive vibes have power. Even if you can't put it on a spreadsheet, it's still real. It's still a real factor. And if anything, it's the most important factor. So ultimately, it doesn't matter if Donald Trump decided he wanted to be the reincarnation of Franco, the same guys would still be complaining because that's the most important thing to them. They've made their identity being the guy, ironically, being the person who never accepts yes for an answer. They're spiritually Talmudic. And it doesn't matter what sort of political wins we get with those sorts of guys occupying that headspace all the time. And if you are one of those people, if you have that inclination or you have that tendency, you feel that in yourself, you have got to bludgeon that out of yourself post-haste. You must be performatively, relentlessly over-the-top optimism and optimistic and reprogram your brain. Optimism is a moral imperative. Without it, without hope, without a belief that things can get better, that things are going to get better, that things are getting better, without that belief, things will never get better. Human belief is the most powerful force in the universe. And when you direct that belief at the notion that things are not and cannot or will not get better, you are manifesting that into the zeitgeist. That makes you an enemy. Yeah, Willing always, despair is a sin. Reject the sin of despair. The White House posted this.
Good evening. My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. But most of all, Charlie loved his children. And he loved me with all of his heart. And I knew that. Every day I knew that. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. And this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife.
Oh, Charlie, you didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
People across the country are gathering, holding memorial services and vigils to honor Charlie Kirk's memory and his message.
To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. I promise I will never let your legacy die. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. Rest in the arms of our Lord as He blankets you with the words I know your heart always strives to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant.
Charlie, you put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. That's all I can say. It's done. I want you to remember that we did not earn this. This is God's mercy on our country.
We did not earn this. This is God's mercy on our country. Posted by the White House. This is a White House, not just a White House tweet. As far as I'm aware, this is a White House edit. Someone at the White House made this. How can you blackpill? Incredible things are happening. Oh. What a video, man. Oh, I've got a I saw you guys in the chat here talking about a we are going to fucking kill you emoji, and I think that I have just the one, and I want to see if I can make it here in let's see. Is it in here that I put it? I think I have just the emoji for it. Is it under community? Yes. Okay, hold on. Bear with me. I don't know if the file that I have is going to work. Hold on. Let's see if this one works at this level. Kind of doesn't. Let's see. I'll try it, and if it doesn't, I'll put a different one in later on. No, it's not working, I don't think. Let's test this. We're doing it live. We are going to... Well, it's not... Let me try refreshing the page here. And I got some tips I got to get to. Refreshing the page here. Got to mute myself. Does it work? I don't know. I can't tell from here if it's visible enough. Can you guys see in the chat? It's a Vance ball. Does the Vance ball, does it work, or should we get a different one? Can you guys tell what it is? There it is. It's a little bit hard to see on the icon that small. So there's another image that we just used as a a Vance emote in the King Pill Discord, and I'll have to grab that one if that one's not visible enough. More is needed. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I don't have the other image, so I'll get that. I'll make sure I get that uploaded later on. I've got it on my phone, but I don't have it on the computer right now. Let me get to some of these tips that just came in. First one from Transcendental Daddy Issues.
White man is back, baby! The white man is back!
We must fight on all fronts to re-establish the rule of the father. Feminists were right, having men rule just because they're men is a disaster. If those enemies can trans our kids, shoot our schools and debunk us, we must be willing to defend it all.
Yes, not just rule by men, but rule by fathers. Every time I'm seeing all these guys that are getting dragged out for having posted abhorrent stuff about Charlie, and there's way too many white dudes in those ranks. Way too many white dudes. Just being, and I'm sure some of them even are fathers, so just rule by father wouldn't even necessarily be an effective enough filter. But rule by father. Not just rule by man, but rule by father. Thank you, Transcendental Daddy Issues. That is exactly it. And holy crap. Ready for it, guys? We got an alpha male alert. Alert emotes in the chat. Here we go.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Don't forget to deport all the legals too.
Thank you, Real Stephen Miller, for the $500 tip. Holy shit. Thank you, man. Massive, massive tip. It's Stephen Miller himself. Our favorite Giga Jew. The one and only Giga Jew. Blessing us with patronage. Thank you, my man. Thank you so much. That is, and that pushes us over the goal for the month. For the third month in a row, you guys have done it. You have exceeded my streamer salary. Now I'm in bonus territory, which means gonna have to do another giveaway. Another person's gonna get a free access to the King Pill Discord next month. Holy crap, man. Thank you. Tax-free tips, that's right. Wow. I might have to set another goal because we still got 8 days left to go. Ignore the 10 days up there. That's through the end of the month, but I'm not going to be here through the end of the month. So 8 days left to go, and we've already passed the goal. You guys are incredible. I may just have to start setting the goal higher. All right, I don't mind doing that. Thank you, my friend. That is incredible. That earns an Erica.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein. Und das heißt Erika.
We are going to fucking win, boys. And another tip.
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
I owe you.
Thank you. The one true Heinz, the ketchup man. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for that. My wife says, makes getting my face hacked today a lot less painful. You guys are the best. The Labe audience is just next level. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. All right, let's keep this going. Got a little inside look on Miss Erica Kirk. Check this out.
There's a question about who's going to lead the team going forward and who's going to lead this enormously important organization. And I understand you have some news on that front.
Yeah. Since everything has happened, I think the number one question is what is going to happen with Turning Point? What is going to happen next? And I'm pleased to be able to announce with you, and I think it's appropriate because of who you are and who this person is, that the Turning Point board has unanimously selected Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. And not only is that amazing in and of itself, but I can assure you, Megan, that Charlie told me personally, and he told others, he probably told Mikey, that if anything ever happened to him, that this is exactly what he wanted.
Wow. I have the chills. It had to be, right? I mean, there's just, I don't think anybody would accept.
No, it wasn't just CEO. She is CEO and chair, which means she owns TPUSA. Where TPUSA goes will be determined entirely by her.
A leader of the organization who they didn't feel completely understood Charlie and would be 100% dedicated to fulfilling his vision for where this group is going.
Well, and let me just add one more thing, and I want Mikey to chime in here as well. But in the immediate hours afterwards, Erica got a call from somebody very important. I'll leave that vague, out of privacy, but she got a call from somebody very important. And the question was, what do you know? Sort of asking how much of what's going on behind the scenes and with the relationship, like, what do you know? And her reply back was, everything. I know everything.
Now, a lot of people, I think, have been, I've heard this quote passed around. I think a lot of people have been saying this is a, like, I know everything about what happened to him or whatever. And I don't, given the context here, I don't think that that's what he's saying. I think he's saying in terms of the plan for TPUSA, how it's been run, all the little details, all the relationships, all the contracts, all the connections with the White House, all that stuff. I think that's what he's saying. So it's not like he was the one who was running it and she was just off doing, taking care of the kids and whatever. Like, she's been completely plugged in. And I remember the video I played, I think it was on yesterday's Labe, that someone asked, who's more conservative between the two of you? And he immediately said, oh, Erica, no question. And that she was more based than him when they met, and getting married and having children made her even more based. So TPUSA is now going to be run by the vengeful shield maiden, who is a super based conservative Catholic. Woo-wee! Oh man, Erica Kirk, we'll be watching your career with great interest. All right, let's get some quick hitters here. A Donald Trump truced. He says on 27 August, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point reinstalled the nearly 20-foot canvas portrait of Confederate General Robert E. Lee at the West Point Library on campus. The painting hung in the library for 70 years before it was ordered to be removed as part of the Naming Commission in 2022 to take down items that commemorate or memorialize the Confederacy. Shout out to Rethuglican for tagging me in this one. We are commemorating and memorializing the Confederacy again, boys. And then this from our Secretary of War. I'm never going to get tired of listening to our War Secretary talking like this.
Miss, obviously, with this group, but everywhere I've been talking to, not without recognizing the incredible loss that is Charlie Kirk, who many of us knew very, very well. You've heard all of these before, but they remain true no matter how many times you say them. My pastor texted me the next day and he said, as horrible as it is, we all know the devil overplayed his hand. Big time on this one. And his wife said that in her amazing speech as well. They have no idea what they have unleashed. And if you...
They have no idea what they have unleashed from the War Secretary.
If you, and you've all seen it in your own lives, in your own families, in your own circles, it's a real thing. And if you knew Charlie, you knew he was always taking an honest pursuit of truth. And he was always a Christian, right? But if you look at who he was in the arc, because I knew him at the beginning in some of those early fundraisers of raising money. I was involved in advocacy at the same time too. And he started a political organization that was meant to change the trajectory of politics in our country by organizing and advocating. And he did that. But in his pursuit of truth, an earnest, intellectually honest pursuit of truth, it went from less small t truth to more big T truth. That we are in a spiritual battle. And it's not enough to give people political common sense. It's about, you have to give people the gospel as well. That's how you, so he unleashed a revival in this country that I'm grateful for. God has a plan. We don't know what it is. There is a God, and it is not us, as Charlie says. And when we remember that, when you fear God and fear no man, then you can charge ahead boldly. So thank you for what you've done.
When you fear God and fear no man, you can charge ahead boldly. Ah! I'm going to run through a wall. Man, I remember when they nominated him and people were saying, oh, he's like some Fox News meathead or whatever. And sure, he is a Fox News meathead. He's our Fox News meathead. Go listen to his conversation with Sean Ryan. He is smart. He is a smart dude. He is very spiritually attuned. The fact that we have leadership like this is just incredible. You cannot get used to this. You cannot let this fall away from your attention. Slutty Mook says he co-wrote a book on classical education, by the way. He is he makes the case for homeschooling. He and his wife homeschool, and they're deep believers in it. They've been very active in the homeschooling movement. So he's not just some sort of bland, talking head. This is our war secretary. And here we go.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Scott Turner, the HUD secretary. We will speak with one voice and one language to deliver on our mission. POTUS declared English as the official language of the U.S. In accordance with this executive order, espanol.hud.gov is officially closed for business. We're deporting the Spanish websites as well. And then RFK.
Hi, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here, your HHS secretary. I'm proud to share a critical update with you today. The FDA is taking action to require full safety information to be included in drug ads on TV and radio. No more hiding vital information in small print or pushing it off to a website or a 1-800 number. Since 1997, regulators have allowed drug ads to avoid full warnings on TV or radio. They let the companies mention a vague major statement of risk and sent you elsewhere for the details. That loophole opened the door to a tsunami of misleading advertising. Drug ads drove up prescription drug costs and distorted doctor-patient conversations. Patients saw glossy ads and often asked for new medications. Big Pharma's marketing hooked the country on prescription drugs. We're taking action to end that practice. Thanks to President Trump's memorandum signed last week, the wheels are now in motion to require every broadcast prescription drug ad to display its full safety facts on screen. Companies would have to list important warnings, common side effects, and dangers directly in the ad. It's all about radical transparency and ensuring that you stay fully informed. We're rebuilding trust between doctors and patients and stopping the over-medicalization. At HHS, we believe an informed individual is an empowered individual. When you make health decisions about drugs, you deserve facts, not half-truths. We're working to make sure that you get the facts.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. RFK. These are the sorts of things these are monumental wins that just kind of fly under the radar. And your average political commentator is not going to tell you about these things. That's why you got to watch the Labe, because I'll keep you up to date on this stuff. I've realized this from listening to a lot of other commentators that they don't track these sorts of things. So when they're talking about, like, they're giving their assessment of the Trump administration, they say, oh, they haven't really done anything, or they're not delivering on anything. These are monumental in terms of their impact. Removing the Spanish language websites as a matter of formal federal government policy. Huge statement, huge cultural impact. This is massive. This is an attack on the media companies. This is an attack on cable news. Because cable news basically exists, number one, for the propaganda purposes, but by and large, it exists as a vehicle for money laundering with drug companies. Now, you get a prescription and you like open up and it has like this gigantic page of just lines and lines and lines of all the safety information. They're now going to be required, if they air an ad on television, they're going to be required to include every last bit of that. You know what that's going to do? They're not going to be airing ads anymore. They're not going to be able to afford it. Or if they are, they're going to be telling everyone that if you take this, I don't know, this thing to make you less depressed, it's going to make you bleed out of your ass and kill yourself. They're going to have to disclose all of that. And you know what it does even further? Depending on how the actual regulation gets phrased, this potentially opens them up to massive, massive lawsuits to the point where it's not even worth the risk anymore. Because if they are now obligated legally to disclose all safety risks, then what happens if they advertise a drug, they disclose all safety risks, and then it turns out they missed one? They didn't disclose all safety risks. That opens them up to a tremendous amount of liability. So this is not just about like they're selling it as informed consent for the consumer, but this is going after the cable news channels and big pharma in a big, big way. These sorts of things they slide right under the radar. Most people aren't even aware of it. So they have this vision, this image, I guess, of the Trump administration is just like sitting there playing backgammon all day or something like that. When we're getting multiple stories like this dropping every single day. This is far and away the most aggressive, comprehensively accomplished administration that I have ever seen in my lifetime in any country ever at any time. This is tremendous. That's a good point, Nematoda. Who are the biggest donors to the Dems? Pharma. So this is an attack on the Democrat Party as well. One single policy that just lops off a bunch of the enemies at the knees. Just incredible stuff.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
When JLP said Erika's tears were a lying woman's weapon, paraphrase, and that she was conniving to take over TP USA TA, he lost a ton of respect for him.
Did he seriously say that? When JLP said Erika's tears were a lying woman's weapon, paraphrasing, and that she was conniving to take over TPUSA, I lost a ton of respect for him. Yeah, I would too. I mean, the guy's he's a bit of a kind of a meme. I don't know if he's not someone I've taken seriously for a long time, but that's beyond the pale, man. That is beyond the pale. You cannot let your brain get rotted that way. Absurd.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Queen pilled TP USA? Boudica Kirk. The principal decision of a father is the mother of his children. Our enemies meet the devouring mother. A Valkyrie ushering the soul forward. We need not meet in Valhalla, Mr. Patel, we are already there. Big test truth.
Boudica Kirk! Valkyrie ushering the soul forward. What a tip. Thank you, Transcendental Daddy Issues. You guys should probably be able to tell who that is. One of our best tippers. And anybody who's in the King Pill Discord, you know exactly who that is. You know. He said, Queen pilled TPUSA, Boudica Kirk. The principal decision of a father is the mother of his children. Our enemies meet the devouring mother. A Valkyrie ushering the soul forward. We need not meet in Valhalla, Mr. Patel. We are already there. Big test truth. I don't know if that was supposed to be big T truth or big test as in big testosterone. I'm not exactly sure what the last phrase there was supposed to be, but yes. Banger! Thank you for the tip. Now, an update on the Jimmy Kimmel story. Disney CEO Bob Iger and co-chair Dana Walden made the decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's show after he planned to double down and go on camera to defend his lie that MAGA voters killed Charlie Kirk rather than kowtow to the outrage, as reported by Hollywood Reporter. They yanked him because they, quote, thought that would fan the flames as Nexstar and Sinclair affiliates dropped him. Quote, the advertiser calls began to roll in, and then the big affiliate conglomerates, Nexstar and Sinclair, threatened to preempt the show. This is market reaction and not tied to FCC Chair Brendan Carr's actions. Kimmel even planned to double down and not apologize after, quote, Disney employees saw their emails doxed. Some even received death threats, end quote. When, quote, 66 of the roughly 200 affiliate stations had said they would drop him, that's when Iger and Walden pulled the plug, So this goes in, wins for Orrin McIntyre. This was not the FCC that made them do it, although obviously having the FCC breathing down their neck contributed to it. This was the advertisers getting leaned on by consumers, and then the fact that he was getting ready to double down and was going to amplify it even more. That's when they're like, no. This came from the top. Orrin was on a crusade. Orrin woke up on the violent side of the bed that day, says Jukebox Wizard. Yes, absolutely. You know what's crazy is someone posted his numbers. That he was getting 129,000 views. Jimmy Kimmel has an audience smaller than a mid-sized political streamer. That's crazy. I mean, I could believe that it's that, but it's just seeing the actual numbers, totally not worth it. Totally not worth it at all. And then, listen to this from Brendan Carr, FCC chairman.
Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers at NBC. Just wondering, do you have comments on those shows? And are they doing what Kimmel did Monday?
Asmongold's audience is wildly larger than Jimmy Kimmel's. Asmongold has probably, 10 times the audience of Jimmy Kimmel. Nick Fuentes had several 100,000 live viewers the other night, which is not totally ordinary for him. He's usually got a pretty large one, but it's not that far removed.
Night, and is it even worse on those programs, in your opinion?
Well, if you can be unfunny, that's fine. And a lot of people are sort of saying that, well, people are punishing Kimmel because they don't like a joke that he told. But, we don't need to rehash it here. But obviously what he said was not a joke. It wasn't presented at all that way. But when you look at these other TV shows, what's interesting is the FCC does have a rule called the equal opportunity rule, which means, for instance, if you're in the run-up to an election, you have one partisan elected official on, you have to give equal time, equal opportunity to the opposing partisan politician. So far, so good. But there's an exception to that rule called the bona fide news exception, which means if you are a bona fide news program, you don't have to abide by the equal opportunity rule. And over the years...
Okay, so equal opportunity rule, I think everyone's been kind of aware of this. You see the cable news channels, they have to give the opposing viewpoint when they're having political debates and that sort of thing. But there's an exception to that. If you're a bona fide news program, you don't necessarily have to.
The FCC has developed a body of case law on that and has suggested that most of these late night shows, other than SNL, are bona fide news programs. And potentially, I would assume, you could make the argument that The View is a bona fide news show. But I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's worthwhile to have the FCC look into whether The View and some of these other programs that you have still qualify as bona fide news programs and therefore exempt from the equal opportunity regime that Congress has put in place.
Got about 30 seconds.
Yes, that's right, boys and girls. It sounds like the party of lawfare and oppressive regulation is about to have regulators right up their beeholes, evaluating. Are you actually a bona fide news network? Can we consider you a bona fide news program? Maybe we need to audit that and determine whether you really are. And if you're not, then I think that you need to be presenting presenting the alternative viewpoint. Now, obviously, it's not like, they're going to present the alternative viewpoint and then it's all going to be better. No, this is weaponizing these apparatuses, these regulatory agencies. If you can't get rid of the regulatory agency, weaponize it against them. Make their lives miserable. Make them uncomfortable. Make them feel like they're cornered, like they have Big Brother hovering over them, staring at them. Imagine the View chicks being forced to have alternative viewpoints on there with them. Now, they've always had their sort of token conservative, but obviously if there's a legal standard here, then you could say, well, you're not giving sufficient representation to the alternative viewpoints. Put Scott Jennings on The View. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Imagine Scott Jennings just pimp slapping Whoopi Goldberg on the regular. Oh, this must happen. Can you imagine what their ratings would be like then?
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Jesse Peterson is for people of color and women. When he says that he is black and slow, he means that his brain can't comprehend EVBSX. So his advice is for low EQ POCs. Also fuck Jimmy Kimmel.
I love that last part was totally clear. He said Jesse Lee Peterson's for people of color and women. When he says he's black and slow, he means that his brain...
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Oral Macbeth Tire. His war cry garnicht. Take note, my ketchup United Starters, chimping is part of the plan. The no tax on tips and now the destruction of late night, the podcast right get Gibbs.
Yes! Give us Gibbs! Give us Gibbs! Please, someone tell me what Gernig means. Gernig. That's kind of hard to say. Oh, thank you. The last part of that was Jesse Lee Peterson. When he says he's black and slow, he means that his brain can't comprehend EWBSX.
The white man is back.
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Nematoder with the $10 tip. They're flying in now. And make sure I don't miss this one.
Leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. Your leftist ass like corn on the cob.
Thank you, Chuck Fuckelstein. Another $50 tip. And he doesn't even say anything. Chuck Fuckelstein is a patriot. And I will hear nothing else. Speaking of patriots, here's JD Vance in 2023 talking about taking control of these agencies and using them. Oh, I see what Gernig was. Clever man. Taking control of these agencies and weaponizing them against our enemies.
Republicans, conservatives, we're still terrified of wielding power, of actually doing the job that the people sent us here to do. You heard Arthur say this earlier, that so many of the institutions have been captured by the left. How many of us have been worried about this problem? That the media, the financial institutions, some of our biggest corporations, the technology sector, and the censorship that comes along with it, and of course, the universities and the institutions of education have been captured by the left, some of them for generations in this country. And yet, the one thing that our voters can actually get, the one institution that our voters can actually win in this country is when they go and vote and elect Republicans. And then when they elect Republicans, what do all of us say? We all say we don't think the government should do anything. How is that anything other than a lose-lose proposition for the people who sent us? If on the one hand you have nearly every major and powerful cultural and financial institution in this country aligned with the left, and on the other hand, you occasionally have the people's democratic government that answers to the right, why shouldn't we be doing something with the people's elected government when they give us the opportunity to do so?
You could just do things.
Right? Isn't it just common sense that when we're given power, we should actually do something with it? I hear this all the time in critiques of the administrative state that come from the American conservative movement. And a lot of the critiques, of course, I agree with. The administrative state is too big. It does do too much. It is really hard. I mean, I was an investor and a business.
Using the term administrative state as a senator in 2023, it may seem kind of passé now, but that was, I remember in early 2024 when I heard like Vivek and a few other people starting in the more mainstream starting to talk about the administrative state, and that perked my ear up. I was like, ooh, that sounds like our guys' talking points starting to make it out there. This was back in 2023.
Business guy before I got into politics, try to build something in this country and run into the layers of NEPA certifications and environmental regulations that have nothing to do with protecting the environment, but they have a lot to do with employing bureaucrats. Our critiques of the administrative state are very often correct, But our answer to this can't be every single time the American people give us power, the only thing that we try to do is to trim down the thing that they gave us control over.
It was hearing him give speeches like this in 2023 and 2024 that that had me, and actually even, I think there was even some that he was doing in 2022 where he was talking along these lines. That's when I started being like, into connecting the dots with hearing more rhetoric building around what was then like NRX talking points, getting out into the mainstream, realizing that this is something that's being pushed forward, and then starting to observe what was happening in Silicon Valley. And I started talking about the PayPal mafia and everything. It was these sorts of speeches and comments that he was making that persuaded me of not just the PayPal mafia thesis, but that he was going to be the vice president. Back in, I think the first time that that we started talking about that, Jason and I, we started talking about the PayPal mafia at the end of 2023. And then I think we landed on, started predicting Vance as the most likely vice presidential candidate maybe in like February of 2024, somewhere around then. And I guess to be precise, we said that if our thesis was correct, then him being the vice presidential nominee would be a huge validator to that he was a likely candidate. And at that point, he was sort of kind of vaguely rumored, but there was a lot of people thought it was going to be Marco Rubio. They thought it was going to be Glenn Youngkin, Doug Burgum. These were all guys who were being rumored. Obviously, Nikki Haley. But I was like, he's the one who really checks all of the boxes. And I was talking to Cooper about this the other day, that I think he, and this is the thought I've had for a while, that he and Blake Masters were sort of an A/B test. There's lots of different variables because different timing for them, and they were in different parts of the country. But I think Blake Masters was much more aggressive in his messaging and signaling toward our guys. He was much clearer as like, he is the new right sort of guy, whereas as Vance was a lot softer with his messaging in that direction. And I think that they were both have big teal connections, and I think it was basically kind of like an A/B test. We're going to put both of these guys, have them both run for congressional seats, and whoever gets it is being put on a vice presidential path, vice presidential track. I saw that coming when I saw Blake Masters running, however long it was ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was. And then having I think Blake Masters didn't hide his power levels quite enough. Or it was just, they A/B tested and one didn't work and the other one did. And so there you go. I'm very curious to see what happens with Blake Masters, because he hasn't been, it doesn't seem like he's been as visible recently. And I wonder if he's going to run for office again. I haven't kept up with him over the last year or so. I wonder if he's going to run for office again, or if he's going to be something like a political appointee in the next administration or something like that. Maybe he runs for governor of Arizona. I don't know. I don't know if he would be able to run for office in Arizona again after the way his campaign went down. But Slutty Milk, he could have won the Senate race if Bitch McTurtle didn't Bitch McTurtle didn't fuck him over by not giving him campaign funding. Yeah, that was one of the biggest things, is being outspent, and then he just kind of he scared the hose with his because there was some comments that he'd made. He was a little too early to questioning the post-war consensus, and it was old comments of his that were resurfaced and scared all the Arizona retirees. But by 2028. 2026, 2028, somewhere in there. I don't know when the next Arizona gubernatorial election is, but that'd be an interesting angle. Vance Masters, the "we are going to fucking kill you" presidency. Vance Masters. Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine the absolute meltdown, spurg out that will happen if that is a thing? Whitney Webb will have a coronary. She will lay on the ground and scream for the rest of her life, and I would be entirely here for it. Relatedly, look at this. Whoever Kevin McHale, you don't deserve that name, druid dude. Says this is all in Project 2025, by the way, talking about the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel. And look who's in his replies. Ooh, oh, look at that. Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman. Oh, I wonder what he's saying in the replies. Let's scroll up and see. Oh, Jack Nicholson nodding. Oh, yes. Project 2025. Under budget and ahead of schedule. Look at this. Sarah McGee for Texas, Democrat running for the Texas House. 47% complete, and we're barely 8 months in. Time to brush up on the details and brace for what's still to come. The Project 2025 tracker. The libs are making websites to track all of our wins. And you're blackpilling? A comprehensive community-driven initiative to track the implementation of Project 2025 policy proposals. We're 47% of the way there. 317 total objectives, 34 agencies involved, and we've still got 1,220 days. What is that? 1,220 days is that the rest of his term? Yeah, it must be. Damn, we still got 1,200 days left of Trump's term. And here's their website. Look at this. I might have to go dig around in here for a little bit later on. Here's their overall progress. Start tracking. Select the agencies. You could go through all the different agencies, all the different subjects, their statuses, not started, in progress, completed. USAID, 100% completed. The CFTC, 100% completed. White House, 92% completed. State Department, 75%. U.S. Agency for Global Media, 67%. Department of the Interior, 63%. So which ones are the least completed? The FDA, the NIH, the Small Business Administration, the Federal Reserve, the FEC, and the FTC. Then there's the VA, is 10%. The FCC is 17%. The SEC is 25%. Look at all of this. Oh, I'm so excited for the future. Look what we have to look forward to. Ah! They've got a detailed breakdown of all of their objectives. The libs cannot help but post all of our wins. Isn't it glorious? Here's a clip from Trump dunking on a brown man. When asked why Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, wasn't at the royal banquet during his state visit. King Trumpler!
State visit, spectacular. Right. And yet the mayor of London can't be there.
I didn't want him there. I asked that he not be there. I don't want them. I think the mayor of London, Khan, is among the worst mayors in the world. And we have some bad ones. If you look at Chicago, but I think he's the equivalent of the mayor of Chicago. I think he's done a terrible job. Crime in London is through the roof. The mayor of London, Mayor Khan, has done a terrible job. And on immigration, he's a disaster. Now, I asked that he not be there. He wanted to be there, as I understand. I didn't want him. I've not liked him for a long time. I just think, I have a certain pride in London and UK. My mother was born in Scotland, as you know. And when I see Mayor Khan do a bad job, the stabbings and the dirt.
State visit.
The German hates the Khan. Only one Khan allowed. Our GigaCon. I love that that Sadiq Khan is like, hey, I want to come. Trump's like, nope. And the king is like, sorry, Brownie. No can do. The boss said no. Speaking of brownies, I got a copy of the H-1B proclamation. It's a 212F travel ban proclamation banning the entry into the U.S. of H-1B visa holders who haven't paid the United States $100,000. So this is the big proclamation from today. It appears to go into effect immediately, despite the U.S. having no system to accept such payments. Strategic incompetence. Hey, we've got some H-1B applications. We've got our check. We want to write you a check. Oh, sorry. Don't have any way to take your money. Give us a call back. Just give us some time. We've got to, government work. Got to set up the website and the payment system and everything. You got to bear with us here. It's going to take a little bit to get it all set up. I'm sure you can wait. I'm sure it's nothing urgent. Pay us $100K to enter. P.S. You can't. Oh, Blauvelt. Vivo Christopher says, pay me $100K. Okay, how? No idea. He says, if you are an H-1B visa holder and you are currently outside the country on vacation or whatever, if you don't get back here in the next 24 hours, you may not be allowed back in until this is blocked in court or you or your employer come up with $100,000. Ah! Got what I voted for again.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
So here are some of the details on this. It's a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas going forward. The White House said American workers are being replaced with lower-paid foreign labor and called it a national security threat. Abuse is suppressing wages and disincentivizing Americans from careers in STEM fields. And then, when he signed it, Howard Lutnick went out of his way to say, this is not just a $100,000 application fee, this is $100,000 per year. Now, the Doomers have been just flooding my mentions on this. Where's this tweet at now? Okay, so when I opened this before the show, it was at 260,000 views. Where is it now? 486. Holy crap. My phone has been almost unusable. So if you look in the fine print, it says this is good for 1 year. It establishes it for 1 year. And then I believe it's the Secretary of State and the DHS Secretary have to, and maybe the Secretary of Labor, but I think it was Secretary of State and DHS, have to present a report to evaluate and see if there needs to be any carve-outs and if they're going to re-up it for another year. But Howard Lutnick coming out and saying this is $100,000 per year. It's not just $100,000 at the application. You have to keep paying and renewing, paying $100,000 each year. That tells you that their plan is the DHS and Secretary of State are going to say, yep, got to re-up it for another year. So they have to pay $100,000 per year. Additionally, he also directs the Secretary of Labor to, I can't remember the exact language, but basically says you need to raise the salary floor, the prevailing wage number. It's been at 60,000. I asked Grok. I said, there's a bill that's on its way through Congress right now that would actually formally instantiate this at $150,000 would be the floor for this bill. My guess is that this bill is going to be it's like the one big beautiful bill. It's going to be a must go through, full court press, entire administration pushing behind it. But I asked Grok, I said, okay, so say that bill didn't exist, the bill that establishes it at $150,000 floor. If the Secretary of Labor is just doing like an assessment and moving it up to market rate, what range would it be in? What number? And it said approximately $125,000. So take that for what it's worth. The clanker says $125,000. Either way, it's going to be higher than $60,000. But even if it was not higher than $60,000, they're still going to have to pay $100,000 per year on top of that. And this is an application fee. So if it's an application fee, that would mean if it's denied, you forfeit the fee. It doesn't get refunded. So each company wanting to hire an H-1B will need to, 1, pay a $100,000 application fee, non-refundable if denied. 2, pay a minimum of $90,000 per year more, which would be the wage floor raised from $60K to $150K minimum. And to be clear, that $150K number, that is not part of the executive proclamation today. The executive proclamation directs the Secretary of Labor to raise the prevailing wage number. And if she does so, then it's going to be in the 120-ish range, probably. And then there's this legislation being sponsored by, I believe, Jim Banks that would actually formalize it at $150K if it makes it through Congress. And then they would have to pay that $100,000 fee again each year. This is what a specialty work visa ought to look like. There's always going to be, there's people who say, just abolish the program altogether. They can't abolish the program by executive order. It can only be abolished by Congress. You're never going to get an abolition of the H-1B program abolished by Congress, not within this administration. Maybe another 8 years, something down the line, perhaps. But you're always going to have foreign workers who are going to come and work in the country. And they're going to have some sort of legal status. The question is going to be, what category of worker and what are the constraints on that? So what this is an absolute obliteration of the visa mills, which are overwhelmingly centered in India. This is going to really only qualify, the only people who are going to be qualified for something like this are going to be the truly quote-unquote high-skilled. Now, they could set this even higher. But this is a 0 to 1. It's going to be a lift to get this through, because I guarantee you, probably within 48 hours, maybe less, a judge is going to strike this down and say that it's an excessive fee, that they're not allowed to set the fees that high. Congress has given the executive the right to assess these fees. They're going to say it's too high. And obviously, the administration already has a plan for this, as they've had for every other thing like this. And they're eventually going to win in the courts. We've seen this happen enough times now. And in the meantime, all of those visa mills and all these other organizations that rely heavily on the H-1Bs are going to be frozen. What do we do now? How do we move forward? It locks the whole thing in place, even if it's going through the courts. And just think, a couple of days ago, there was a bunch of people who were spreading around this fake news from the Hindustan Times, of all places, saying that the administration was fast-tracking Indian visas, which they weren't. It was fake news, completely. The article was sourced from the Hindustan Times, and the tweet that went viral on it was the AF Post, which is literally Ali Alexander, a brown dude, a brown pedophile. Why is it so difficult for our guys to do the remotest amount of legwork on this stuff before losing their shit about it? We've gone from a day ago, the Trump is fast-tracking Infinity Jeets, to visa mills have rods from God dropped on them. Beautiful, beautiful work. There's got to be a lot of celebration going on in the Miller home tonight, I would imagine. This is some details on the what do you call it? This legislation from, I believe it's Jim Banks, pushing it through. The proposal would increase the wage floor for H-1B visa recipients from $60,000 to $150,000, and it would eliminate the optional practical training program, the OPT program, and replace the current lottery-based selection process with a highest bidder system. Banks argued that the current framework enables large tech corporations to undercut U.S. wages by importing foreign workers en masse. So think about it. Before they get this legislation through, they have to pay a $100,000 fee, application fee, just to be entered into a lottery. Can you imagine? You're only going to get like the wealthiest companies possible are even going to be able to think about doing something like that. And you've got these what do you call it? Different like AI engineers and stuff who are getting like professional basketball player salaries. So for those types, the companies aren't going to have any. They're like $100,000, whatever. Those types of jobs are going to stay out there. I don't think you're ever going to get sufficient mobilization of the population behind eliminating that sort of thing. It's the visa mill egregious abuse at the low wage level that is the biggest problem. And just the introduction of the fee alone is a huge deal. And then the elimination of the OPT program would be incredible as well. Latinx adjacent Dr. PhD is a tremendous follow. Says, bigger deal than the 100K fee. Trump's using his broad authority to change the wage floor to 150K a year, in effect wiping out 91% of H-1Bs issued last year. So if that happened, if this legislation passes, 91% of H-1Bs would be eliminated. That bill must pass. When it's time, that is the thing to chimp on to ensure that that gets through Congress. Tremendous. This guy here says, about a month ago, I invented a new program at H1BJobsDirect.com that allows you to apply for jobs American employers wanted to import workers for rather than hire Americans. It sends a copy of your resume to the employer contact we have on file, and it sends a copy to all of the congressional staffers representing that worksite city and worksite state. Works pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Received this message a few minutes ago. Someone said, hi, using the data from your website, I submitted several reports on the DOJ's new H-1B fraud portal. 22 of the cases are now going forward. I have also spoken personally with Harmeet Dillon, as well as another attorney from the Attorney General's office. He said, good to know. They continued, DOJ said they appreciate your website and the reports that have been submitted, and they encourage to submit more reports to combat H-1B fraud as they are now ramping up their resources. So here's another resource for you guys. H-1B Jobs Direct. There's actually no there's the video here. I'll make sure the video's linked so you guys can go watch it. There isn't any voiceover on it. And I need to keep this going. But H1BJobsDirect.com. I love seeing these grassroots things like this. And the administration is enjoying it as well, encouraging it. Where was the other? Hold on. I had another tab here, but I think I may have accidentally closed it or lost it or something. Let's see. Where did this go? Here it is. Shout out to CG Constantine for being a real one and making sure it was easy for me to find this link. So this is from the Department of Labor Twitter account. The days of employers abusing H-1B visas are over. Introducing Project Firewall, our plan to ensure high-skilled jobs go to Americans first. And I'll just point out again, this is a just note the rhetoric that's going with this. This isn't like they're trying to sort of slide something through. They're championing it. They're pushing it out with this kind of rhetoric.
For too long, Washington politicians have stayed silent as employers abused H-1B visas under President Trump. This is coming to an end. Today, the Department of Labor is proud to launch Project Firewall. This H-1B enforcement initiative will ensure employers are prioritizing qualified Americans over foreign workers. It's all part of our commitment to end decades of America Last policies and put the American worker first.
We put up the firewall to burn the poo. I love how the naming is so good. Project Firewall. And just now, as I'm looking at my timeline, I just saw this right now when I just opened up Twitter. This is a Twitter space, death of H-1B visa with a bunch of Indians in there. Obligatory. I don't know what this is, but I can't wait to hear it.
In the last 1 year, obviously the job market's been pretty trashy. Unemployment's ticking up, especially in tech and all that stuff. So obviously there are certain Americans who are pretty pissed off with what's going on. So yes, you will see Americans also frustrated with these things. But you know who's galvanizing and boosting these comments? It's these bad faith actors who simply just don't like Indians or Indian Americans. So that's my point. I don't know. Okay, let's go to Marty, and then we'll go to Daisy. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening from the US of A. I just wanted to say thank you, Donald Trump, for saving the country. The gravy train is up. Y'all are going home. No more scams.
All right. Okay. That's
Dumps. They call them
Who let
dumps.
him up?
Big,
Who
massive
let him
dumps.
I let him
I
up.
wanna
You can't accuse us of having an echo chamber. So let's remember that for all you Khalistanis out there.
Rajiv!
It's very important that they know because they keep accusing us of having an echo chamber. So
we don't have an echo chamber. We immediately boot the guy when he starts talking. We don't have an echo chamber.
Indians.
And this tweet here, posted by the White House account, a screenshot of a Donald Trump truce. So Trump is himself screenshotting a Libs of TikTok tweet. Breaking, 8 charged in massive Medicaid fraud scheme, which resulted in $8.4 million in stolen Medicaid billings in Minnesota. The individuals charged, Star Wars name, Star Wars name, Star Wars name, another Star Wars name, Christopher Star Wars name, Emmanuel Star Wars name, Star Wars name, and Star Wars name. And Trump says, does Ilhan Omar know these people? Are they from her wonderfully managed home country of Somalia? My shitposting president! He just sees some non-American names and he's like, they're from Minnesota, and he's like, oh, Ilhan Omar must know them. They must be from her shithole country. So speaking of Ilhan Omar and Trump, here he is explicitly calling out the importation of ethnic voting blocks.
Ilhan Omar, after his assassination, called Charlie Kirk a reprehensible human being. Should she be stripped of her committee assignments?
I would say, I think she's a disgraceful person. I think she's a disgraceful person, a loser. It's amazing the way people vote. I know it's people from her area, maybe of the world. I don't know. They got here and they vote her in. It's hard to believe, but I think she's a disgusting person.
The President of the United States talking about the importation of ethnic voting blocks to rig elections. So, Nancy Mace finally tried to do something good for once. And she put forth a motion to censure Ilhan Omar over comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it failed. They were going to censure her and remove her from her committee assignments. And it failed because 4 Republicans voted against the measure. These are the Republicans. Mike Flood of Nebraska, Jeff Hurd of Colorado, Tom McClintock of California, and Corey Mills of Florida. A group of 5 House Republicans helped Democrats kill a censure resolution against LaMonica McIver, a Democrat from New Jersey, earlier this month. That was the woman who was, I believe LaMonica McIver was the one who attacked the ICE agents and is facing, I believe, federal charges for that. Now, here is the little tidbit at the bottom. Democrats are expected to withdraw their retaliatory censure measure against Mills. So Corey Mills, this is very disappointing to me because I first encountered Corey Mills when I played a video of his here on the Labe right after the Trump assassination attempt, when there was a long piece, or like a long back and forth he had with a CNN reporter. And I was like, I like this guy. He came across very, very well. He's from Florida. And I said, I need to take a look at this guy and see what happens with his career. And it has become abundantly clear exactly what he's about now. So what were they, this retaliatory censure measure against him was because of sexual misconduct. And people started digging into him a little bit more. Jill Savage here from The Blaze says, I met Corey Mills and thought he was great. Then I found out his marriage certificate. Then I found his marriage certificate in March. Mohammed Al-Hanouti was the officiant at his wedding. He's an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. So Corey Mills is the guy who defeated Anthony Sabatini, who is 100% our guy. And we can see now exactly what Corey Mills is about. He has a Muslim wife, and he has an Iraqi Muslim wife, and his marriage was officiated by an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. She says there's a thread here, and you can go read the rest of these links here if you would like. They'll be posted on the King Pilled Substack for this episode afterwards. I found this article on Al-Hanouti by Scheidler K. Who is this? Kyle Scheidler. And the investigation began. We published our first article at The Blaze back in May on why Mills was married by a radical Islamic mufti. Corey Mills told numerous people in his life that he converted to Islam. We're now up to 6 people that The Blaze has spoken with that confirmed he told them of his conversion. Mills denies these claims, stating that he's always been a Christian. But what kind of Christian? This man claims to be a Protestant to some and a Catholic to others. He launched his campaign out of Word of Faith Pastor's Home. You don't do that if you're a Catholic, which I think he's back to now. Probably important to mention that Al-Hanouti was the mufti at Dar al-Hijra Mosque in Falls Church, Virginia, better known as the Al-Qaeda Mosque. That's who Corey Mills had marry him to his still very current wife. They're still married, quote, because of the business. They're, quote, going through divorce proceedings. You all know the company Corey Mills started with his wife is an international arms dealership, right? It's Pacem Defense, P-A-C-E-M, Pacem Defense. And Mills is the current chairman of Oversight and Intelligence Subcommittee for the Foreign Affairs Committee, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Maybe we should stop that? Mills and his wife started the International Arms Company and got a $228 million deal with Iraq within the first year. His wife is from Iraq. Can't we all get that kind of luck? That deal and others were so big, even for Iraq, that they audited it and never paid it in full. The defense minister was ousted with a vote of no confidence from Parliament for giving out huge deals to his friends. And we haven't even gotten to the stolen valor stuff yet. There's a scandal around this that he's has a bunch of veterans who are upset at him for stolen valor. Here's the thread that she did on Mills' trip to Syria, where he was the first person to meet with al-Shara'a, the former al-Qaeda guy who's now the president. His risky road trip through Syria raises eyebrows. A bunch of Blaze Media links here. We haven't even gotten to all the women. Corey had 2 women living with him at the same time in different cities. This is the story of the Florida girlfriend. He has a girlfriend in D.C., had a girlfriend in Florida, and is still married to his wife, technically. Plus, he was asking more women out often. Corey Mills has real issues. Anyone could blackmail him at any time. The hearing for a restraining order against Mills will continue next Friday, September 26th. So it was for this stuff that he had a censure measure that he was facing in Congress. And in return for him voting against the Ilhan Omar censure measure, the Democrats dropped that. So, it's very clear from all of this who Corey Mills is and what he's about. And the fact that he's the one who defeated Anthony Sabatini should tell you something about the power levels of Anthony Sabatini. That they had to recruit a guy that is this transparently corrupt and bought off to keep Anthony Sabatini out. So this is a great big stain on the character and reputation of Florida, which has otherwise been very, very good thus far. Yeah, this is big Fed posting content. Majorly. Let me see real quick here when he was 2023. So yeah, he's going to be there for a little while. He's got to go. But this is what I'm talking about. When I say Trump has a fake majority in Congress, it's because of creatures like this. And I don't remember who I was listening to just recently, but they pointed out the fact that so many of these guys are their handler is their wife. And I wouldn't at all be surprised if that's the case here with him. Another resolution. This resolution here was showing respect to Charlie Kirk, and 58 Democrats voted against it. It passed because 94 voted with it, along with all Republicans. This is the text of the resolution. When I heard about it, I thought, okay, well, maybe there was some stuff that they kind of slid in there. It wasn't just strictly memorializing Charlie Kirk. Maybe there was some other thing in there that they voted against. Here is the text of the resolution that that 58 Democrats voted against. Resolved that the House of Representatives, 1, condemns in the strongest possible terms the assassination of Charlie James Kirk and all forms of political violence. 2, commends and honors the dedicated law enforcement and emergency personnel for their tireless efforts in finding the suspect responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk and urges the administration of swift justice to the subject. 3, extends its deepest condolences and sympathies to Charlie Kirk's family, including his wife, Erica, and their 2 young children, and prays for comfort, peace, and healing in this time of unspeakable loss. 4, honors the life, leadership, and legacy of Charlie Kirk, whose steadfast dedication to the Constitution, civil discourse, and biblical truth inspired a generation to cherish and defend the blessings of liberty. And 5, calls upon all Americans, regardless of race, party affiliation, or creed, to reject political violence, recommit to respectful debate, uphold American values, and respect one another as fellow Americans. That's what 58 Democrats voted against. The Democrat Party is the party of terrorism, political violence, and murder. That's what it exists for. And we could hardly get a more clear indication of that fact. So Amy Therese here, who's an interesting one, says, I'm not a free speech advocate. I'm a silence the libtards advocate. To which I say, hell yeah. And Gleisy Nationalist said, the reason the right has advocated for free speech has been misunderstood. We were not advocating for a universal concept of free speech. Not really. Sure, some centrists lied about this. We were demanding to be able to speak freely for ourselves. That's it. And that's this is a good thing to like embed in there. We're not advocating for free speech. We're advocating for our own speech, our own ability to speak. We're not advocating for our enemies to speak. We're not going to protect them, their right to say ghastly things. No, you don't have a right to say ghastly things. And the bread mold man says, if you're using different rules than your enemy, you're losing. Recall my commentary yesterday about hate speech with Pam Bondi. If you're using different rules than your enemy, you're losing. The rules of the left are whatever works. Chimp rules. I'd love to return to Marquess of Queensberry politics, I'll tell you, as I get my gums around your plums. Good news is you'll likely totally save on razors. Chimp rules. Whatever works. We do not believe in rights advocacy for our enemies. That doesn't mean we're unjust to them. No, not at all. We are very happy to subject them to justice. And when they're engaging in just behavior, even if we disagree with it, if it's just behavior, then sure, that's fine. But if you're using different rules than your enemy, you're losing. This is not a matter of principles. It's a matter of political reality. Choosing not to use a tool that your enemy uses as a matter of principle means you're losing. And relatedly, we're going to talk more about this here in the future. Didn't have time to get all of it in here today, but Weather Underground. Where are they now? Kathy Boudin. Kathy was one of the original members of the Weather Underground, a group of left-wing terrorists that bombed 25 state buildings, including the Pentagon, DoD, State Department headquarters, and the Capitol building. In 2003, after 23 years of her sentence served, she was released by the parole board. She started to work in a hospital and an AIDS clinic. In 2013, she started teaching at Columbia as a professor in social work. Speaking of children, she had a son with one of her fellow terrorists involved with the armored truck robbery. His name? Chesa Boudin. He was adopted by fellow Weather Underground terrorist Bill Ayers, mentor and ghostwriter for Barack Obama. Chesa went on to get a law degree following his parents' footsteps and focusing on de-incarceration. He ran for San Francisco District Attorney, funded by George Soros. He assumed office in 2020. His platform was to let criminals out of jail and decriminalize minor offenses, like homelessness, loitering, shoplifting. The results were predictable and well documented elsewhere. Kathy's husband, also involved in the robbery, was David Gilbert. He served 40 years in prison until Andrew Cuomo granted him clemency in 2021. He now walks free. Left-wing terrorists are supported by the mainstream left. They are given titles and funding. The Democrats are the party of terrorism, and there is nothing remotely like it on the right. And I just want to point out that I'm seeing more and more commentary about Weather Underground lately. Almost as if there is a concerted effort to drive this commentary to the surface. And it just makes me think that the Wongooners are on the right track here. That the ultimate goal in all of this, the ultimate target, is old Barry. Barry the fag. And just as a comparison, Fleur Inverse here says, just imagine if Vance had Tarrant or Breivik ghostwriting his speeches, and you'll get an idea of the level of insanity Democrats reached. How's that for making it stick? Imagine if Anders Breivik was ghostwriting speeches for J.D. Vance. That's the state of the Democrat Party. Literal violent terrorists in prison who have spent decades in prison for political terrorism. And let's not even talk about foreign leaders they admire like Mandela and why he was in prison. Mr. Necklacing himself. And then shout out also to Yarvin. He has a great piece on, I think it was on Unqualified Reservations, comparing Anders Breivik and Nelson Mandela. Let me see if I can find that real quick and throw a link in the description. Mencius Moldbug. Anders Breivik, Nelson Mandela. I can't remember which one it's called, which one it is. Of course, it doesn't come up in Google search. Unqualified reservations. Search the website. Breivik. Let's see here. Let's say Breivik and Mandela. Yeah, right-wing terrorism is folk activism. How long is it? It's a little long. I won't read it tonight. But perhaps I will read it in the future. But I'll throw the link in there in case you guys want to read it yourself. Right-wing terrorism is folk activism. Mencius Moldbug, July 23, 2011. Okay, I just see here that there's some tips that have come in, so let's take a look at these. First, from Transcendental Daddy Issues.
White man is back, baby! The white man is back!
I mean, if it was back then, it was probably academic agent or Charlemagne. The only acceptable brown and fanboy in our spaces. Maybe Vance was a Mr. D fan. One of the rumored young American fans of the confirmed Bachelor.
I would not at all be shocked if Vance has lurked on Mr. D spaces. Or I almost guarantee that he's watched Academic Agent or Charlemagne videos at some point. I would be shocked if he hasn't.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
There is no such thing as grassroots. We are seeing the results of USET for white guys. Dudes in everything important. The emperor needs his chimps as much as his priests and generals. I am a G monkey.
I just love that. Next time you send a tip, please include more chimp sounds. Listening to Daniel Chimp is just one of my favorite things in the world. And then Austin Trees.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
White pill time frame. How long do you think it'll be until these criminal scamming scumbag pieces of shit from Star Wars Cantina Land, how long until they start getting rounded up in mess and deported if not locked up forever?
Well, I mean, I think it's already happening. They already are getting rounded up. Like that article that thing that Trump had tweeted out was them talking about they busted them in this massive Medicaid scam. And I can't imagine that they're going to get let out. So I think they're already doing that. And again, it's been 8 months, and they got the funding, and then even once they get the funding, then there's going to be a lag time where they get all of the personnel and they get all of them hired and trained and out into the field. So there's there's social media time, then there's political time, then there's bureaucracy time, and then there's legal time. Social media time is goldfish memory. It's like really fast. And that's where most of our guys spend all of their time. So to them, it seems like an eternity has passed in social media time. But then like the next longest would be probably political time. Political time takes
back, baby. The white man is back.
Well, Mr. Yavin, what if I use a better rule set and rig things in my favor? I think we know what we need to do. We need to start putting wind in our guys' sails. I know that it's a concerted effort because I talked about it 3 months ago. Volkenschaft.
Yes, please. Please put wind in my sails. I don't plan to I don't plan to be taking any notes from Weather Underground, but I catch your meaning there. Our favorite leaf fed poster. I know that you didn't have any chimp sounds in that tip, and I'm very sad. So you have social media time, then you have political time, which is longer than social media time, but still shorter than bureaucracy time, which is itself shorter than legal time. Legal time, it moves like a sloth. It's incredibly slow. So if you want like actual changes in the law, those are going to take a long time. And if you know they're going to take a long time, then you need to have a there's like a thing here you've got to weigh is do you paper over with temporary solutions while you're waiting for the legal time to pass and potentially compromise that legal time or make it take longer by introducing more variables into it? Or do you just continue taking your lumps on certain things to ensure that you only have to go through the legal time once and you keep the legal time as short as possible? Because once you've actually accomplished things in legal time, those have like the most stickiness, the longest staying power. And I suppose you could quibble over bureaucracy time versus legal time, but I think the nature of legal precedent and the nature of the legal system, and it's designed to be slow and cumbersome. So in order to make legal changes, like H-1B, for example, you could do your temporary solution, which is an executive proclamation saying it's $100,000 now. And then you're just going to have to go slug it out in the courts. And maybe it gets some sort of an injunction against it, and you slug it out, and you go back and forth, and you go have to appeal, and then do the whole thing. That would be one side of it. The other side of it is you could say we're not going to address this, but we're going to cross every I and dot every T on our way to getting the final solution, the comprehensive final solution. But just because the administration isn't doing the temporary Band-Aid solution thing on a given issue doesn't mean they're not addressing it. In fact, in some cases, some of the things that they may be the most serious about, they're actually doing the legal time approach. And it's going to take a while for those sorts of things to pay off. Just by definition. 8 months in legal time is not very long at all. It requires a tremendous amount of legwork. And then there's a matter of personnel in all of this. So, and each new layer of things that you introduce that you introduce to, different enforcement things or different policies or whatever, you're diverting your existing personnel into these various other areas of enforcement. So, Night Screwed Up Nevsky, thanks for being here, man. Continuing through here, Bronze Age heterosexual male. Sounds like a patriot. You are a liberal. You're concerned that the government has stifled a man's speech over misinformation. Tomorrow you will wake up and buy your morning coffee, but your card gets declined. Bank of America says that you violated terms and conditions. There's a grainy photograph of you from 5 years ago, huddled shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of racial justice protesters. This photo was published by the FBI and someone recognized you. Likely someone you considered a friend. You are a liberal. You're concerned that the home of AOC was raided by the FBI. Several of her staffers and lawyers have been imprisoned. An open letter was signed by 100 national security experts stating that she is an agent of Venezuela. Signatories include Nick Fuentes, Bronze Age pervert, and Cum Pumper 1488. You are a liberal. You're concerned that your Capitol Hill district was taken over by a right-wing militia. They've erected blockades and patrol the perimeter with AR-15s. The government does not intervene. They surrender the nearest police station. They negotiate and request permission for EMT access. A young black man gets into a shootout with the militia. He's given a trial. Right-wing shock troops gather outside the courthouse daily. He's found guilty. Later, one of his jurors gives an interview wearing a Proud Boys t-shirt. You are a liberal. You've been sentenced to 10 years in prison over a meme. You are a liberal. Your truck left skid marks on an American flag mural, and you're charged with a hate crime. You are a liberal. You trained your pug to do a communist salute, and now the government has some questions for you. You are a liberal. You've been kicked out of school. Your kidney transplant was denied. You're on a no-fly list. You can't get a bank account. You've been fired. Your friends are denouncing you. Protesters are at your front door. You are a liberal. And the right has gone bananas. A banger! Officially declared so by our master of propaganda. Incredible. Isn't it wild that this is what we've lived with for the last decade? And then these people have the audacity to screech about injustice. And even worse than that, the cucked centrists are doing but what if the shoe is on the other foot? Motherfucker, the shoe has been on the other foot for years. There is zero question whatsoever that regardless of what any of our guys did, were they to take power again, they would do all of that and much worse. They don't need precedent. Precedent doesn't change anything for them. They're going to do it either way. This is why they must be politically extinguished. The drip continues. Here's an interesting songbird singing.
While Trump was overseas, he was asked about his predecessor, the auto pen.
Is there any update on the auto pen?
Yeah, it's just gotten worse from their standpoint. The people that used it, and in particular one person, was never told by Biden to do it. Only spoke to Biden twice, and that was just talking about the weather, not talking about any order. And he was taking orders from people other than Joe Biden.
Biden's chief of staff, Jeff Zients, testified today.
Zients.
He said Biden's decision-making slowed down during his term. Decisions that took 3 meetings eventually required 4. Jill Biden ordered the chief of staff to change the president's schedule so he could sleep more. And Zients admitted that Hunter Biden was in meetings and directly involved in pardons. Why was he in meetings? And what pardons? All the drug dealers? All 4,000 of them? Was Hunter running the auto pen? We know Joe wasn't.
The trust plan saw. That's exactly what I was going to say. Someone showed Zients the manila envelopes. Remember how I told you guys a couple months ago that pretty soon we were going to find out that all of these people in Biden's inner circle, all the people who were adjacent to the auto pen or within the power structure within the administration, that they were gonna start singing. Oh yeah, they're singing. This is your legal time at work. These stories, they pop up, you get a little blip, you kind of get an idea of where things are heading, and then they're going to go silent. And it's going to be quiet for a while. You're not going to hear stuff on this. And then something else will pop up, and you'll hear about that, and then it'll go quiet. Because they're building cases. If you're building a case to take down a former president, to arrest Barack Obama, or at least put yourself in a position where you conceivably could arrest Barack Obama, you're not going to do that overnight. You're not going to do that in a couple of months. You're going to take a long-ass time to do that. And we simply have to accept that. I know it'd be so much fun if it happened sooner. And the longer it goes, the harder it is to troost. But this is our responsibility. Our responsibility is to truce on these matters. Here it is. A tip from a username, Sounds of Detroit. I wonder what this could be.
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
O. Hu, ger, 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 nicht ger, nigger, nicht ger. O, ha. Bananas? I didn't do nothing, I don't get it, get banana. O, ah.
Masterful work. Epic performance art. That there. I got a $500 tip earlier tonight, and that one right there may have been my favorite. I want to hear that one more time.
The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
O. Hu, ger, ger, nicht ger, nigger, nicht ger. O, ha. Bananas? I didn't do nothing, I don't get it, get banana. O, ah.
Give banana.
The N-word.
Oh, I'm dying. Okay, back to our president. Our president is menacing. He's menacing the press. Listen to this.
Regarding Antifa, what you posted. NPR, sir. Regarding
Are they still here?
We are?
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Regarding designating them a terrorist organization, when they don't have defined leadership or membership, how do you target them?
Who doesn't?
Antifa.
We're going to find out, right? We're going to see. People have been talking about it for a long time. We're going to see. Did they have anything to do with your network? Okay. Well, we're going to find out.
He straight up asks her, did Antifa have anything to do with your network? That's like picturing this meme, the one of that's kind of all grayed out with Trump standing up on top of the White House from a distance. Did Antifa have anything to do with your network? So the Netherlands declared Antifa a terrorist organization. The Dutch parliament voted in favor of recognizing Antifa as a terrorist organization. Andrew Torba says global crackdown on leftist freaks. And then look at this. The Netherlands declares them a terrorist organization. That's right, Hungary as well. I forgot about that. Hungary as well. Trump announces they're going to designate them a foreign terrorist organization. And then look at this. Just in, Russia to seize the financial assets of international Satanists. This from Watcher.guru. Let me zoom this in a little bit so I can read it. BRICS member Russia to seize assets of international Satanists. BRICS founding member Russia says it plans to add the international Satanism movement to a financial blacklist per President Vladimir Putin. The move will allow Russia to freeze and seize assets of alleged members even if they have no criminal record. Rosfin Monitoring, the Russian federal agency that maintains the financial blacklist of terrorists and extremists, added the international Satanism movement to its list on Friday, its website showed. The BRICS country has been pushing for the blacklisting for several months now. Quote, the movement is closely linked to manifestations of radical nationalism and neo-Nazism, Russia's prosecutor general said in a statement in July. Russia's Supreme Court declared the international Satanism movement extremist in July after prosecutors accused its members of desecrating Orthodox Christian churches and spreading hatred. Furthermore, per Russia's federal agency that maintains the financial blacklist of terrorists and extremists, Satanism refers to any ideology or religion that venerates Satan, a supernatural entity in Abrahamic religions who embodies evil It is not known how many people adhere to Satanism worldwide or in Russia. Russia recently carried on oil deals with fellow BRICS member India, despite sanctions from the U.S. and threats from Trump. I love that they talk about how many people adhere to Satanism worldwide and then say Russia recently carried on oil deals with India. Yeah, Putin is targeting Satanists, and you're blackpilling? And I just can't help but notice the timing here. Isn't that very, very interesting timing? Here's another story that only Tom Luongo has been talking about. U.S. military confirms it sent observers to Russia-Belarus war games. Think about this. You have the Alaska summit. You have the EU trade deal, the capitulation by Ursula von der Satan. Then, at the same time that Putin declares that they are going to seize the assets of international Satanists, Trump announces that they're going to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, and they're going after George Soros. And then, American military officials go to Belarus at the invitation of the Belarusians to observe Russia-Belarus war games. Supposedly, we're on the cusp of a big military conflict between NATO and Russia. And yet we have American military officials going to look at to watch their war games? Something's not adding up. The Russian defense minister also attended the Zapad 2025 drills in Belarus. Pentagon cites productive bilateral engagements between U.S. and Belarus. Drills occur a week after Poland shot down Russian drones. The Pentagon on Tuesday confirmed that U.S. military officials observed joint war games between Russia and Belarus on Monday, accepting an invitation for the first time since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. On Monday, Reuters and other news organizations photographed U.S. military officials in Belarus attending the Zapad 2025 drills, along with observers from other countries. Belarus is a staunch Russian ally and served as a staging ground for Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russian Deputy Defense Minister Yunusbek Yevkurov also attended the drills in Belarus. The U.S. Embassy in Minsk, Belarus, received an invitation for our defense attaché to attend the military exercise in Belarus as part of the Distinguished Visitor Day, and we accepted the invitation in light of recent productive bilateral engagements between our countries, said Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell. Attending exercise DV days is a common practice between militaries, and the U.S. Defense Attaché is part of a larger group of international military attendees. Due to timing, the incoming defense attaché was able to attend in conjunction with the outgoing attaché. The presence of the U.S. officers, less than a week after neighboring Poland shot down Russian drones that crossed into its airspace, is the latest sign that Washington is seeking to warm ties with Belarus. Western foreign policy analysts speculate that Trump may be trying to peel Belarus away from Russia, a strategy widely viewed as unlikely to succeed, or to exploit its close ties with Moscow to promote a deal to end the war in Ukraine. Trump, who has suggested that the drone incursion may have been the result of a mistake, last week lifted sanctions on Belarus national airline Belavia, allowing it to service and buy components for its fleet, which includes Boeing aircraft. He did so after Lukashenko, who regularly talks to Putin and was given a friendly hand-signed letter from Trump by Cole, agreed to free 52 prisoners, including journalists and political opponents. Belarusian Defense Minister Viktor Khrennikov personally greeted the two U.S. officers, who shook his hand and, speaking in Russian, thanked him for inviting them. Parnell did not identify them in his statement to Reuters, but Reuters identified one of them as Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Brian Shoup. A U.S. defense official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the last time the U.S. observed these Zapad drills was in 2021. Very, very interesting things happening. Oh, come on. Go. Do the thing. Do the thing. Why is it not working? Got another tip here, and it's a good one. But it's not coming through. Why? Come on.
The white man
There it is.
back, baby. The white man is back.
Oi tiki taki tuku taka fia albe in a pack of lies. Yuguk, duguk, 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 duck, duck. I can feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord.
I'm gonna come. Oh, thank you, Trucklore. He was worth the wait. So, Katie Davis Court, who, Katie Davis Court is one person removed from me, I'll say that. She says, just in, federal police officers arrested Chandler Pate, I don't know how you pronounce the guy's name, arrested Chandler outside the Portland ICE facility last night. He's been using his apartment unit near the ICE facility as an Antifa safe house, providing agitators with restrooms and amenities so they can continue the occupation.
Where's Chandler?
What a fact. So, Carl Dahl says, finally, tick, tick, gotta move fast. They're arresting Antifa guys already. And this is Anna Paulina Luna talking to Glenn Beck about billionaire Neville Roy Singham, who we've talked about here before.
You know, Glenn, that we were on the show talking about Neville Singham, how he was funding the Party of Socialism and Liberation, coding up a lot of the stuff. Comer signed on a letter to the U.S. Treasury to freeze all of his assets, and I just met with Judge Janine, and he's guilty of a FARA violation. I think the Department of Justice is going to be charging him with that. So, you know,
miracle of
for
miracles.
Charlie.
Miracle of miracles. Yeah, we were just talking about this new George Soros information that Ryan Morrow has just released, or is it 1 o'clock Eastern yet? And it, I mean, you're going to be able to get George Soros on RICO charges, something I've been asking for 15 years, and it's happening. I think, you know, there's just no better name to name Charlie's movie than Turning Point. I mean, we are truly at a turning point, and I couldn't be happier.
Watch out, Neville Singham. Judge Janine is coming for you. So, Andy, no, this was before, this was posted September 17, this was before Trump's announcement. It says the Antifa cell in Corvallis, Oregon has published an after-action report on the fallout from Charlie Kirk's assassination. And here is that after-action report. So, we're told that that Antifa is just an ideology. It's not an actual organization, but here is published by Corvallis Anti-Fascists, an analysis of Eugene's 9/13 Charlie Kirk vigil. Last Wednesday, Turning Point USA founder and your debate bro, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated while speaking in front of a crowd at a Utah Valley University. In the following days, discussion regarding the killing has completely dominated social media and news channels. Grifters and talking heads from all corners of the political compass have been constantly espousing a competing set of theories. We are not interested in contributing to this discourse. This piece intends to look at the fallout of this event, its effect on the right, and how anti-fascists might respond to its effects. Within hours of the shooting, right-wing groups across the country have issued statements and have called for vigils in Kirk's honor. These vigils are the largest street protests we have seen from the American right wing since the Stop the Steal rallies in 2020. They are also occurring following large, violent anti-immigrant protests in the UK and Australia. We think this makes them extremely worth paying attention to. Interesting how they characterize vigils in Charlie Kirk's honor as street protests. These people are ghastly. On a national level, Kirk's killing has done much to galvanize and unify America's right wing. While it's already being memory-holed, Kirk was never a very popular figure. During the initial boom of the alt-right, TPUSA was routinely mocked by both leftists and rightists for their cringy, astroturfed lack of substance. Kirk was viewed as a toothless Hello Fellow Kids representative of the old money Republican establishment. The far-right's distaste for Kirk has been most epitomized by Nick Fuentes' Groiper Wars, in which Fuentes' white nationalist followers would attend TPUSA debate events and use their time on the mic to espouse anti-Semitic and neo-Nazi talking points. The far-right's hatred of Kirk has been quickly forgotten, as nearly every white nationalist and neo-Nazi group has jumped to eulogize him on Telegram. It is apparent that this far-right rehabilitation of Kirk is primarily opportunistic. They want to capitalize on the moment to feed off the energy of the dominant MAGA political bloc. The what? What's that you said? The dominant MAGA political bloc? That's right. We are dominant, bitch. The neo-Nazi rehabilitation of Kirk hasn't solely existed in Telegram or online. In Huntington Beach, neo-Nazi Ryan Sanchez has been organizing vigils drawing mainstream conservative support. In Utah, California, Texas, and North Carolina, Patriot Front has marched alongside conservatives in memorials. We are certain that there are other instances of neo-Nazi involvement in these protests are occurring, but this piece is being written on 9/15, and we are awaiting more reports from across the country. We aren't able to monitor all far-right activity across the U.S., but we can keep eyes on what's happening in our backyard. On 9/13 in Eugene, Oregon, approximately 800 people assembled at Alton Baker Park for a vigil led by Chris Tuff. Attendees were primarily an evangelical upper-middle-class normies, many of whom brought their children and elderly family members. At the vigil, the group gathered to some corny patriot music and bad bro country. A few prayers were led, someone was passing out vigil candles, and Chris Tuff and his cadre spoke, adorned in white t-shirts printed with the words, "We are Charlie Kirk" on the front, and a picture of a cross made of nails on the back. The organizers themselves seemed surprised at the size of the group as more came in, delaying their planned march. The group then marched a short distance to Hayward Field in the University of Oregon. Along the way, bike cops blocked off roads, causing a huge traffic jam to allow the march to pass without delay. Once at the stadium, Joey Gibson, the founder of Patriot Prayer, led a speech in front of the crowd. The crowd briefly blocked off the road to unfurl the flag called Freedom, owned by Cresswell's Paul Volusiak. After a few moments of flag time, the march rapidly disbanded. While this was by far the largest far-right rally we've monitored since 2021, the energy was remarkably low. There were no calls for violence, hateful chants, or attacks on passersby, all of which are extremely common at events like this. This event was far tamer than we expected it to be, but it isn't completely innocuous. This rally turned out numerous far-right figures who haven't been active in Oregon for several years. Two close associates of neo-Nazi spree killer David Joey Peterson were in attendance. Corey Agnar Wyatt, who provided the murder weapon, and Jeremy Roberts, a prison confidant of the killer. Both of these men have been extremely violent at protests in 2020 and 2021. And Roberts is responsible for kicking in the door of the Oregon State Capitol on December 21st, 2020. Wyatt is currently in a wheelchair after becoming paralyzed during an ATV accident. Tim Edward Davis, a known Springfield white supremacist and J6er, was also in attendance. It's funny how they characterize all of this. Like, he kicked in the door of the Capitol building. Can you believe they were so violent? Now, there's a particular thing here that I wanted to highlight in this. While this particular protest was somewhat low energy, this political moment is worth consideration and engagement by anti-fascists. We are seeing neo-Nazi street movements work to enter the MAGA fold at the same time as the right engages in its largest series of actions in years. This is particularly concerning within a global context where violent anti-immigrant street mobilizations are sweeping the Anglosphere. More vigils are being announced for next week, and we believe it is possible that this momentum may carry into future street actions. Addressing mobilizations like these requires careful consideration. The most similar rallies we've seen in the Pacific Northwest have been those following homophobic evangelical preacher Sean Fucht, where followers of a similar non-combatant mall church family demographic have shown up in great numbers. Anti-fascists have attempted to counter several of these rallies in Portland and Seattle, but these counters have been unequivocal, optical, and tactical failures. Simply put, black bloc counters of what appear to be normie worship events with children in attendance is a decidedly bad look and contributes to the American conservative persecution narrative, galvanizing otherwise politically inactive conservatives. This is particularly relevant as many apolitical businesses and institutions, including UO itself, have expressed public sympathy to Kirk and his cause. As such, here's the key part. As such, anti-fascists must work to find more creative ways to counter this political moment. One option may be working to drive wedges between different segments of the right. We have already seen physical conflict between neo-Nazis and conservatives at these events, when a group of bruisers associated with SoCal Active Club jumped a rockabilly guy at an event in Huntington Beach. One possibly useful wedge issue in this context is Israel. Conspiracy theorists have already jumped to blame Kirk's assassination on Mossad, claiming the lifelong Zionist was on the verge of becoming J-pilled. Fascinating. So an actual Antifa website suggests explicitly that it would be of great utility for Antifa members to push the Israel narrative as a way of trying to split the right. Huh. Who would have thunk? While the reactivation of a far-right street movement and the presence of neo-Nazis within mass protests may be unpleasant, we want to end this article with a moment of hope. At the same time as 800 right-wingers marched in Eugene, across town an equal number of fired-up punks were gathered for Radical Alternative Development's mental health benefit, an annual anarchist crust festival. At the fest, hundreds of queers, punks, and freaks, decked out in radical pens and patches, reveled, pitted, and celebrated life without needing a national political movement to bring them together. ARA veterans, middle-aged crusties, and teenage mosh warriors danced together in unity to explicitly anti-fascist anthems, all to benefit local grassroots mental health, mutual aid, and street outreach programs. We aren't so naive as to believe that punk rock is praxis in and of itself, but it is important to acknowledge that even in these dark times, resistant culture is alive and burning brightly. It is the role of us as anti-fascists to channel it into social change. Who is this written by? Corvallis Anti-Fascists. You niggers are getting arrested. We're going to be dropping... JD Vance beach balls are going to be dropping drone missiles on top of you. Oh,
nigga, you gay! What a fag.
So, hold on. More sounds of Detroit.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Die mit Volks ain't playin'. They linked up an finna roll up on dem French Volks. Das right, we would combined arms masters an Shiite. The meetings weren't about Ukraine. They were to cover up the Epstein files. Or perhaps blessing in the future.
Epstein! Okay, so that one was, there's some lingo in here. Dem white folks ain't playin'. They linked up and finna roll up on dem French folks. That's right, we was combined arms masters and shit. The meetings weren't about Ukraine, they were to cover up the Epstein files, or perhaps glassing in the future?
Oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Oh, and I should have played this one after that last thing I read.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Okay, so there's this this governor in Utah. And this is worth some attention. Shout out to KR Harris at Kai Roha on Twitter. Said, at Real King Pilled, any chance you can cover some of this stuff on the Labe? We have probably the worst GOP governor in the nation. He's pushed every left-wing cause, especially the trans stuff, and he stole the nomination in 2024. There's a link here with some sources on this from the utlibertyfiles.org. And here's one tweet. The truth about Spencer Cox. Utah Governor Spencer Cox used the murder of Charlie Kirk to force his way into the national spotlight. Many people are finding out about him for the first time and think they have discovered an amazing unknown Republican politician who could lead the party in 2028. To those people, I say this. You don't know Spencer Cox. He has no idea how to govern. He believes stats from U.S. News and World Report are the most important metric of success, not how life in the state actually is. He's turning Utah into a California-esque urban nightmare at the expense of native Utahns. He's owned completely by construction and tech interests, and will do anything to see that they are making as much money as possible, even if it means Utahns' livelihoods are dramatically affected in the process. He doesn't actually like Utahns. He wants us replaced with Californians and foreign migrants with, quote, new ideas and fresh perspectives. The Californians come in, destroy the cities and the landscapes, and the migrants are their cheap foreign labor, driving down wages and taking jobs from native Utahns. And all of that is to say nothing of how he became and remains governor. In 2020, his mentor, Governor Gary Herbert, used the COVID lockdowns to secure the nomination from former Governor John Huntsman and award it to his lieutenant governor and protege. In 2024, Cox faced a challenge from Phil Lyman. And there's a more detailed breakdown of that I will read here. from the Eternal Saints at eternal_saints_. Now that the weekend is over and many of you have experienced the whiplash that is Spencer Cox, some of you may be wondering how Utah ended up with such a two-faced weasel as governor. Let me catch you up. Utah uses a caucus convention system. There's so much cock happening here. Utah uses a caucus convention system to nominate candidates. Someone's going to clip that, aren't they? There's so much cock happening here. In the Republican Party, if you win 60% plus of the delegate vote, you're automatically the nominee for November. No primary. After Spencer Cox's first full term, 2021 to 2025, it was clear to me and many others that Utah was headed in the wrong direction. So for the first time, I got involved. I ran to be a state delegate, was elected by my neighbors, and dove into researching every candidate for every major office: governor, senator, congressman, AG, you name it. Delegates are chosen so that they can spend the time to vet candidates in a way the general public often can't. And in 2024, after months of meetings, research, and debates, it was clear to most of us that Spencer Cox was not the right person to lead Utah. At the state convention, we gave Phil Lyman a supermajority of votes, meaning he had secured the GOP nomination outright. This absolutely infuriated Cox. He mocked and antagonized delegates at convention, then blasted out a fundraising email calling us right-wing extremists for voting against him. But Cox didn't stop there. Instead of respecting the party's rules, he used SB 54, a law passed over a decade ago specifically to weaken the caucus convention system, to hire a signature gathering firm to force a primary. Here's the kicker. He didn't even gather enough valid signatures to qualify for a primary. Under Utah law, those packets should have been rejected. Instead, the lieutenant governor's office centralized the verification process to a single clerk in Davis County who counted signatures that should have been thrown out, including fraudulent ones. Gather Inc. and its employees are now facing legal consequences for this, but at the time, the legislature, media, and governor's office quietly looked the other way and hid the fact that Cox had failed to qualify. Phil Lyman should never have been forced to compete in a primary. He was the rightful nominee under the Utah GOP constitution. But the primary was held anyway, and Cox, with the power of incumbency, his deep campaign war chest, and crossover votes from liberal enclaves in Salt Lake City and Park City, managed to drag himself across the finish line. And still, it didn't end there. Phil Lyman launched a write-in campaign for the general election, and Phil Lyman was there in person when Charlie was shot. I played in the episode where I played videos, a bunch of the Charlie memorial episode. I played a couple of videos of his that were the ones taken there of Charlie like throwing the hats out. That was posted by Phil Lyman. Phil Lyman launched a write-in campaign for the general election. After weeks of work from his supporters, a man named Richard Lyman, no relation, suddenly registered as a write-in candidate on the very last possible day. Evidence suggests Richard was bribed, allegedly with $1,000 in a steak dinner, to get on the ballot so that votes simply marked Lyman would be split or disqualified. When this was exposed, Phil Lyman sued, Richard withdrew, and all Lyman write-in votes were set to count for Phil. But right after Richard dropped out, Lieutenant Governor Deirdre Henderson sent an email to every registered voter in Utah announcing that Richard Lyman had withdrawn, deliberately sowing confusion and leading many voters to think Phil had quit the race. This is so fucking devious, man. Then came Election Day. Utah took weeks to count results, yet Cox was declared the winner within minutes of polls closing. I witnessed all of this firsthand. This wasn't just a bad campaign, it was systemic cheating. Cox lost at convention, he failed to qualify for the primary, fraudulent signatures were counted anyway, his allies used confusion tactics to suppress Phil Lyman's write-in votes, and in the end, they handed him another term. So when you see Spencer Cox on national TV posing as the nice guy governor, remember, he called the supermajority of GOP delegates extremists, he bent the rules, he forced a primary he didn't earn, he manipulated the process to cling to power. Spencer Cox did not win fairly. He stole this election. Cheating Cox might be here. All my homies hate cheating Cox. Caleb Cox, Spencer Cox's son, led the charge to allow biological males to dominate girls' sports. At a Southern Utah University walkout protesting a canceled volleyball match versus San Jose State due to a transgender player, Caleb called the decision a betrayal, saying it left LGBTQ plus students feeling unwelcome and ignored human decency. And Governor Cox issued a Pride Month declaration believed to be a first for Utah governors back in 2021. This is Spencer Cox. And I think that there's a deeper story here. And here is Steve Bannon to enlighten us. There's a lot of this, this whole radical tranny thing has a large representation in Utah, and particularly within the Mormon Church. And I've heard about this in the past. Here is Steve talking about it.
And what we found in Utah was shocking. One of the reasons I don't think we're getting full information, I think Cox and these progressive Mormons, right? I know it's a big battle behind the scenes with the Mormon Church and what's happening, people like Cox. They're trying to suppress information to see that, hey, this part of this murderous militia are made up of young Mormons that are furries or, transgender or part of this LGBTQ radical militia, right? You need all that. Now people are coming out online and saying, hey, there's been, the NSA knows there's like 20 international intelligence operations, cell phone data. This is my point. We need to flood the zone with real information that people are standing in the back of. And I appreciate the fact that Cash has taken charge of this. They're saying that Dan Bongino is going to leave in a couple weeks. I would plead with Dan Bongino not to do that. Number one, Dan Bongino is such a great guy, but not to do that because we need Dan Bongino there, because I think Dan Bongino is somebody the audience in the MAGA movement trusts to get to the bottom of it. And we have to get to the bottom of it because more information is coming out today, and we just cannot have. I'm not saying somebody else had a shot. I'm not saying that there was another angle to a shot. I'm not saying somebody behind him shot it. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that it strains credulity given the videos that we've seen, the timeline that we have, the communication they had, the text messages they had, and the fact that nobody's rounded up, including with, I'm adamant, the parents ought to be rounded up, the gay lover rounded up, everybody in the Discord chat rounded up, round them up and bring them in, round them up and bring them in, and just let them sit there until you finish a thorough interrogation.
Whiskey Pryor says the whole state of Utah is like the homeschool kid that goes sex nuts and drug wild in college when they first leave the house. I know that very, very well. That I was a homeschooled kid who kind of went wild in college. I didn't get too crazy, but I definitely have plenty of friends who did. And that really is, you wouldn't have to be all that sophisticated of an intelligence operative to identify that phenomenon within Mormons and recognize that those sorts of Mormon kids would be easy targets for infiltration and radicalization. Going back to it, I think, everyone's like, oh, is it Antifa? Is it Israel? Is it, whatever? And I think I'm kind of like, I think it's all the same people, there's the specific person who pulled the trigger. There's the person who motivated the person to pull the trigger. There's the people who paid the person to motivate them to pull the trigger. I think you're looking at the Utah young people strike me just intuitively would strike me as being fertile ground for working these kinds of operations because of that very phenomenon. When you have a really conservative religious sect and then the kids leave and they hit college age and they start rebelling and they get exposed to all this other stuff, especially in the age of the internet and social media. I know very, very well, growing up as part of a conservative religious sect that actually has a lot in common with Mormons, that is those types of young minds are very, very malleable, a very, very easy target for infiltration and grooming and conditioning toward this type of thing.
And don't let things, oh gosh, we didn't do it, and some, things have gotten erased or memories fade, because it's not good enough. And I don't think the War Room audience is a pretty good indicator of kind of common sense America, decent America, the backbone of the country. And I can tell from talking to people in the chats, etc. I don't think one of you right now believes what we're being spoon-fed. And this is why I say that this fight against the deep state, you saw a shift against Kash Patel. Kash Patel had every right to go back on him, given the history of Schiff and given what Schiff has done to this president and to the MAGA movement. And some of that's coming out now with Arctic frost and other things. There's a lot more to disclose of things that are coming. And Schiff should right now, not even be in the Senate. He should have been turfed out by the governor because he'd been indicted. And he hasn't. He's allowed to run around the Senate. This is because of a backup of that other part of this, the investigations and the taking apart of the deep state through legal means. So now we have two things. And one is only going to get solved until you have the apparatus in place, the structure in place to go after it. And when I say go after it, it's not to just go after the furries in the Discord chat. It's not to go after even this young shooter. It's to go over that next layer of who trains these people. And then the next layer of who provides these platforms.
Yes.
The companies, the individuals, who finances it, who's their partners in the media, who are their partners in politics, and particularly where the money comes from and how much of that money comes from overseas. Charlie Kirk, we talk about this all the time. Charlie Kirk had not a ringside seat. He was in the arena. He had a better feel, I think, than anybody in this country of how the Chinese Communist Party has taken over these universities and spread chaos. They may not be there, selling the little red book and
It wouldn't be a Bannon clip without some mention of the CCP.
getting everybody to sign on to Chairman Mao out of the gate. They don't need to. They need to sow discord. They need to sow chaos. They need to put doubts in people, everything from their gender to their family's history to the history of this country. If you see, in fact, I've put up a book on kind of like modern social order. I believe it's chapter 8. I'll put this up. It's up on Getter right now. It talks about Christianity, all of Christianity as a vehicle for like white supremacist hate. This is what's taught from kindergarten.
Drives me crazy. Dave Smith does this too. When people say white supremacist,
all the way through. And conservatives and Republicans have looked the other way for years because it's too hard, it's too personal, it gets very nasty very quickly. We can't do it. You look at that pomp and splendor, all that at Windsor Castle and the parade grounds and Tamara Checkers, doesn't mean anything if we lose Western civilization. And Western civilization is on the ropes right now. This is an inflection point. The only way it's going to be saved is you. When the American people set their kind of sights on, hey, here's what we have to do and here's how we're going to do it, then we'll know that we'll begin the journey to save this country. We've come such a long way over the last couple of years. The pandemic, the stolen election.
I'm going to come.
President Trump in exile, all of it. Now the return to power. And I say, with as much as President Trump has done, and I think Rosemary Jinks confirms there's like 1.6 million or almost 2 million foreign nationals, including 1.6 million illegal aliens out of the workforce. Now, whether they've left the country or not, we don't know, but we assume they've left the country. President Trump sealed the border. So much that he's done, right? Today, markets are doing fine because of the rate cut and what he's doing, although everything's not determined by markets, but it's a pretty good indicator of where the smart money thinks things are headed. But we have a fight on our hands. As I told CPI the other night, having the White House and the executive branch, having the House of Representatives, the Senate, and basically the Supreme Court, I could argue that as hot as the country is, it's also dark. The forces that hate this country, the forces that hate President Trump, hate the MAGA movement, hate anything decent and good in this country, are not only not giving up, they think they've got a tool now called direct action to actually be victorious. Remember, this is not about unity. I don't care about unity. I care about victory.
I don't care about unity. I care about victory. Ah, yes. And on that note, we are going to wrap, and I'm going to head over to the King Pill Discord, hop in the voice chat, see if anybody's still up, wants to hang out and chit-chat while I down a brewski or two. Recommendation, if you want a really interesting conversation to listen to, maybe if you're a party pooper and you're not going to go join the Discord and come join the voice chat and you want something else to listen to, go listen to Russell Brand's conversation with Nick Fuentes. Yes, Russell Brand interviewed Nick Fuentes. I think as of right now, you have to be a premium Rumble member to get the whole conversation. Very strongly recommended. Even if you just pay the $10 just to hear that conversation, it was very, very good. It was an acid trip. a surreal conversation. Somebody said that Russell Brand asks questions the way Jordan Peterson answers them, and I laughed for half an hour. The perfect description. Russell Brand is a character and a half, but the difference in styles between them was kind of, it felt like I was getting a contact high or something from listening to him. But it was very, very interesting, very compelling conversation. And I'm just gonna say my predictions that I made over the past couple of months about Nick Fuentes, I believe, are continuing to bear themselves out. So, yeah, hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Make sure you go to church on Sunday. Say your prayers. Remember that there is a God who created you and he loves you. Go tell somebody else that. And I will be back on Monday for another episode of the Astrolabe. It will be the last week of episodes for the month of September because I'll be heading up to Washington State. So if you would like to join me on October 5th, Sunday evening in Western Washington for a King Pilled meetup, shoot me an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter @realkingpilled, so I have an idea about how many people to expect. And I'll let you know where it's going to happen. And yeah, I think that's all I got. Appreciate all the support for the show. Thank you for all the tips tonight. Reminder that you can send tips even if you're looking for a way to support the show. You can send tips even when I'm not live, and I'll make sure I play them and give you guys credit during the show. Tips.kingpilled.com for the Streamlabs link. You can also go to Venmo, Cash App Patel. It's just King Pilled on both of those, and there's also Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for your generosity, for hanging out in the chat, for goosing the numbers. Let's check the numbers real quick. See where we're at. We've been up above 75 the whole time. 64.45. We went up almost, I think that's almost 1.5 viewers. So maybe by next week, we might be able to get up over the 75 number by the end of next week. Only got one new unique chatter, though. So need the unique chatters to get in here and do the thing. Need 60 of them. It would be a shame to get up over the 75 number and still be lagging behind on the unique chatterboxes number. This is to get me to be a Kick partner. Once I hit those qualifiers there, then I can become a Kick partner, and at that point I can start getting passive revenue just for streaming. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. And if you're in the King Pill Discord, I'll be in the voice chat here in just a couple minutes. If you're not, you can go join. Come join us, kingpill.com. And for now, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough.